that, quote, wasn't big enough for his music. Tuffy's Bar is even planning a welcome home party for the would-be Bob Dylan.
We got a nice cushioned stool for his precious little East Coast ass.
Hey, Jeffy boy, we got the radio on. We're still waiting to hear that big song of yours. Where is it?
Local business owners say Statsky might have just as hard a time finding work here in Pennington as he did when he was trying to be a dainty little songsmith in Coolsville.
Oh, sure, I could set him up with a job, no sweat. Oh, wait, come to think of it, we don't have any openings right now for tambourine-shaking pansies who got dick-slapped by the big city.
This is the Onion News Network.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160. 603-283-6160 is the phone number. With you on the show tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Angelo.
And Colin.
And there is always lots of stuff to talk about, and tonight's, at least in part, it's domestic terror brought on by your government. Your owners. But also there's lots of other things to talk about, and that's the point of the show. Call-in number 603-283-6160 is the number, and you can bring up whatever's on your mind. It doesn't have to be on topic. That's the point of Free Talk Live. It's for you to bring up whatever is on your mind. And today the big topic going around everywhere, lots of different articles talking about in different angles, is ice. And not just the ice falling from the sky, all over the country almost, unless you're listening on like the West Coast somewhere. I don't know, maybe you've heard, is it snowing there?
No, West Coast is, they're fine.
Yeah, it's been all of the eastern states,
South,
not even just
Central.
not even just the
Snowmageddon.
coast.
Well, if you don't know about it, I don't know. I mean, that's all anybody's been talking about all week.
Yeah, but we're over here, so I kind of wonder if like that's just because people don't pay attention, if it's or because they're paying attention because that's where they live. You know, like I bet if something was happening in Washington State, I wouldn't be hearing. You know what I mean? Or then again, if it's like all Western states, maybe you're more likely to hear about it. But
yeah, like they've just been pushing it on the news. You know, like crazy storm hitting 80% of the United States.
And some of it is even the southern states that don't usually get snow at all, but it's more like ice, and that's really scary because they don't have the infrastructure for that. Like the month, maybe even like a few weeks after I moved here to New Hampshire, which as of the 21st was 5 whole years since I got here to live, and like a week, 2 weeks, or a month, it was before the raid even happened. There was a snowstorm in Texas that was like really crazy, and I was like, oh wow, I really barely missed that, didn't I? And it closed things down because they just don't have the infrastructure. Well, the infrastructure might not be the right word. They don't have the tools to like go and get everything plowed and stuff like that because it happens so not often.
Isn't there like their power system like prone to freezing over too? Like just the electricity?
I remember there was something going on
down
with the electricity that same time period, and I don't think it had to do with being frozen over. I think it had to do with being like overused all of a sudden, because it's like all of a sudden people are having to actually like heat their houses.
Plug in a bunch of heaters, yeah.
I think it was something like that. I don't remember all the details about that. Yeah, that was like all in the news at the time, and people were saying, see, it's because of private companies, and we need to like have one state electric company, and I'm sure that just brought horrible things.
Yeah, because PG&E in California, who has the monopoly on bringing power to people, right? That's the power suppliers, have done such a great job in.
I always hear about brownouts and stuff there. Like,
yeah, they do.
Like, sorry, you guys don't get electricity tonight.
Rolling blackouts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Texas thing has a lot to it. Texas is on its own grid. There's 3 grids in the U.S. There's a West Coast grid, East/Central, everything else, and then there's Texas. And I need to turn this audio down a little bit. Turn it up too much. There we go.
Yeah, I can hear your ears.
Yeah, and there's interconnects between all of them, and they can transfer power back and forth as needed. but they kind of need some like permissions to do that. And actually, they saw the storm coming ahead of time, and they knew it was going to be a big storm. They knew they were going to need more power, and they put in a request with the federal government saying, "Hey, we just it's like almost a formality, and it's like, yeah, just send us extra power from the rest of the grid," which would have been totally fine and fixed everything. But I believe it was actually Biden himself who's like, "No, I'm not going to do that." So.
Back in the one I was talking about in 2021?
2020,
yeah, that'd be Biden.
Yeah. The one where like all sorts of stuff froze over and.
Yeah, I had just gotten an appointment for a vet here in Keene with Coconut because he just needed his shots redone, and they had to call his old vet to get his like records, and there was no one in the office for like over a week. They were like, something weird's going, and it was like literally people weren't going to work for a whole week because like driving on the highway was just no. That's so crazy. In San Antonio.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't remember all that stuff about the grid and stuff. I don't remember all those details. The main thing I wanted to say was, even though there's ice falling from the sky, potentially more dangerous ice is the masked people who have been empowered by Trump to go around and round up basically anyone they want. I made sure to watch the video of Renee Good today, kind of late, but because whenever we talked about it before, it was only Richie Rich that had actually seen the footage, and he was like, absolutely, she turned her car as much as the wheel could possibly turn. The man was not going to get hit by the car. And I looked at it, and you can just look at his feet. If you just look at the tire in the feet, not in his phone angle, because it doesn't even show his feet, in his phone angle, you can totally be tricked that he like got hit by the car, like bumped by it even, but no, he just like jumped and no, but in the other footage, I watched it today. If you look at the feet, she turns her wheel, it's completely not facing or going to hit his foot, and he just shot her anyway because he freaked out.
Yeah, no, that's true. There's a lot to be said about this sort of thing. I mean, first off, she like put herself there and was creating an incident, and then they surrounded her like cops do. And then the one cop did something that you're not supposed to do, which is cross in front of a car like that, because that creates those sorts of scenarios. There's a lot
of training. What do you mean by a cross in front of it?
Like
walking?
He walked in front of the car, and he didn't need to do that. So he put himself into a position.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
About that, really.
But at the same time, I have to say, like, if I was in a car and a cop was in front of me and all of that, I wouldn't try driving away while he has a gun out and pointed at me. So it's like. There's like I say, it's like there's a lot to say here. It's like I
just wouldn't blame the victim in any way in a situation like this. It's like people are in their right to go up to cops and quote unquote harass them. It's not harassment. They're supposed to be responsible to you. There's a different word I'm looking for, and answer to you. They are not supposed to be masked, identityless people who can.
I agree with all that too.
Not be filmed, and you have to let them do their job. Yeah. Like you should be able to go up to them and talk to them. And
I agree with all that too. Well, what I'm saying is, by the point that they were already doing the unreasonable thing and having their guns drawn at her, like her driving her car away, it was like not smart in any way whatsoever. So that's.
I also didn't listen with audio. Richie Rich said that he said that I think she had her like lesbian girlfriend with her. I don't know why I said it like that. I'm sorry.
I guess wife. I think they were married.
Oh, okay, yeah. But she had her wife with her. I don't know why I said it like that. It's really funny. But Richie Rich was like, in this case, where she went wrong was she listened to the woman and not the man, because the woman was like, go, go, go.
Yeah, the woman was outside of the car.
Was that her wife?
Yeah, the wife was outside of the car, and the cops were like, stop, get out of the car.
Like, go.
And the other one was like, drive, baby, drive. So the wife slammed on the gas.
She literally did nothing wrong that should be, you should get killed for that, in my opinion. It's just that you do have to know how cops are. That's the whole point you're trying to get at.
Yeah, that's really what I'm saying.
Yeah. And it's really, really, honestly, it's extremely sad.
I think they were talking the other night, or we were, about the same thing, and there was a quote from someone, I think Chris R. read it, but it was like, United, like, you're dealing with a gang, so like when you go into gang territory, or like when gangs are doing their gang stuff, and you have to like move through their neighborhood, you have to like be aware of gangs. Like they're gonna be violent. They're gonna attack you. They'll bully you. And it's the same thing. Almost like the government's a gang. So like if you're gonna go into gang territory where a gang is currently doing an operation, the gang is going to get violent. The gang is going to attack you.
And another thing I've been saying for weeks now that's like a part of this is if these leftists had been actually against cop, cop the way that cops are and going up in First Amendment auditing them this whole time and actually watching videos on it, they would know their rights and what to do. I would love if somebody did
some sort of
but
deep
instead,
dive.
They're only being like, oh, now I'm mad about what the cops are doing because like the third worlders are involved and now I'm angry.
I'd love to see a deep dive and see like,
really
did she have a what am I thinking of, like X, Twitter, did she make posts about stuff? What did she say during COVID? Because I could be wrong. Yeah, probably people who aren't wearing masks should be shot. I mean, we saw people say all that kind of crazy stuff, and it was kind of from like a certain side of the political aisle and not the other. So it's like you said, it would be great if this person was standing up for freedom the whole time. They probably weren't. It's sad that there's not more people like us that are just always kind of like on the right side of all this stuff.
Well, that's because nobody has any principles. Yeah. There's no like actual principles. Except for like, I want power and I want to wield it against the rest of the country.
Yeah.
She only has a private Instagram account. It's annoying. And she does not have Twitter. Like, at least according to the internet, when you Google, does she have a Twitter? It's like, she did not have a Twitter that we know about, but she did have an Instagram account. I found it, and it's private, so that's annoying.
Well, I also think the last president wanted a nationwide police force. As soon as he got into office, right? Joe Biden wanted to put the Capitol Police in every major city in the United States to go after people who were upset at the federal government. I mean, he was a
Democrat.
And he was
just
a Democrat.
Gotta point it out. Yeah.
He was a Democrat who also let 25 million people into the country, right? Like, so, but he didn't care about that. He cared about hunting down parents who wanted to oversee what the school was teaching their kids, right? That was his prerogative. So it's, this isn't new. It's just power. We're just bashing the other side of the country, I think. You know what I mean? It's like almost like a retribution, I feel like, from the right to the left. Like, we've got power back, so now we're gonna really like use it.
My thought is more, it's not like, one side versus the other. That's what they're going to. Okay, the smallest person in the scale, like the person in the government, like pencil pushing, maybe. But I think like at the top, it's we are domestic terrorizing people, and we're going to use whichever angle they agree to. And maybe they've been like, okay, we've been doing this left thing for too long. We've pushed the gas too hard on that, and now they're not going along with that. So instead of, we're going to have ICE agents going, or, federal police going to your house to get you if you say something bad about the trannies on Twitter, well, that's not going to fly. So instead, right now, we're going to say, don't you want the third worlders we pumped in to
and they probably did that exactly for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Because it's create a problem, give them the solution. You get what you wanted from the beginning.
Well, and then if we also just are cool with them being pumped in, then you've just created votes for the left for the next millennia. Because they don't, you're not going to bite the hand that feeds. You're going to keep voting for more free food and more free housing.
That's actually a really interesting thing that was brought up by somebody, I forget who, where they said that if you looked at like the Somali immigrants, and people were like asking them what they thought about like the Democrats who were giving them all this stuff, all this welfare stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, we hate the fact that they're for all this like weird tranny stuff and all of, but they're like, but they're giving us all this stuff, and so they were literally, because those people are mostly like Muslims, like you'd say like conservative Muslims or whatever, and so they're absolutely not for any of that craziness, but yeah, the hand that feeds you.
Yeah, that's pretty funny how what the whole left and how they treat Muslims and vice versa is very odd in America, because it's like, for some reason, they've chosen Muslims for another group that they want to make look like they're all saints and amazing, and we want more of them. I don't know why, considering that Muslims are against everything they
have to choose every group that's not the group that's in power, and not just pragmatically, but because of the like communist ideology they have. where it's like, oh, if you have anything, then you're part of this exploiter class.
Yeah, the critical theory.
Yeah,
like
so they have to choose all of those people, and they can't single one group out, because then if you do that, that calls into question like their whole entire philosophy. The minute you say, oh, well, this particular group of minorities might have some feature that's right or wrong about them, then you'd have to say, oh, well, maybe the group that's in power has some thing that's right about them.
Yeah, and I also think
they have to pick all of them. Yeah.
I also think it has something to do with go against Christianity no matter what the cost. And I'm not saying because I think Christianity is the answer and actually like the bad guys want to go against Christianity or anything like that. I'm saying that Christianity is the majority.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, and also leads to more conservative worldview, which is maybe that part's not true or not true, but
that
maybe
part
that's not part
never
of it.
seem true to me when I was younger.
I don't mean that. I mean more. Well, Muslim worldview leads to just as much, if not more, conservatism. So maybe that's not part of it.
Yeah, but you can't buy off the votes. There's no way to get to the. They're just. I think it really is. They're just importing demographics that they control. That they want the votes. If they can. We're not voting for them anymore. We've seen it's shown that the culture war stuff didn't work. America picked a side on the culture war, and they went with Donald Trump. So if the people aren't going to listen to us, we'll just get rid of the people. We'll just replace them. If the workers too upset with the way they're being treated, we'll just fire them all. But they can't fire citizens. They have to replace us. Or execute us, but that won't work. They can't round us up and put us into camps. We'll freak out.
Not yet. Oh,
we have guns.
Well, not yet. Yeah, we have guns. So they just have to tell you to not have kids and then import a bunch of people who will have kids and are loyal to them.
I also really do think that part of it is just no one having, Americans not having an American social or cultural identity. Not just all of America, like me and Colin were oddly having this conversation in depth today, but at least regions, at least states. Instead, it's like I don't relate to everyone in New Hampshire. Like that's not, okay.
We know you hate all of them.
It's not even just everyone in New Hampshire. It doesn't have to be every single human being. I just mean, I don't even relate to the people on my freaking street. And that's everyone nowadays. The whole time I lived in Texas, that was around the year it became apparent to me, but maybe I wasn't paying attention before, but it's like people are not just like communities anymore. It's because of the internet. Like people don't even have the accents they would normally have in the regions they do because they're on the internet all the time. We don't have like strong communities by and large because there's like, for example, the Jewish community in New York, they were doing awesome stuff during COVID. They're like, no, we're not going to listen. We're still having our weddings and stuff like that because they had their cultural group where they didn't. The thing is, you won't die if you don't listen to the overlords if you have a strong community because you are socially safe.
Yeah, you have a support system outside of the government's organization, I guess, if that makes sense.
I mean, the support system is one thing, but it's also an identity and a belonging to something that's bigger and greater. There's a guy named
I think that has more to do with why they're going against Christianity.
Bupert. And I forget. I heard he's doing something these days that was interesting. I just heard about it a little while ago, but I can't remember. In any case, he gave these talks at PorkFest a number of years ago, and in one of them, he was talking about why the war in Afghanistan is failing for the U.S. And one of the points he brought up is that we have a way of looking at ourselves where we put our individual self first, and then we put like maybe our family, and then like community, and then like nation. That way of looking at it. And he said that in Afghanistan or whatever, the individual is not the highest. The family is the highest. Mm-hmm. So because family is higher, like they didn't care about state though. They don't really have one there. They have a bunch of different tribes, but because people think of their tribe first, they're willing to sacrifice for the greater good of that group of people, and that makes them resilient against the state. And so you get that if you have.
That's always true exactly though, because like in Mexico, absolutely they are family before individual, and they still are like a bunch of like they basically go along to get along. Like their state and the cartel, they're like, I'll pay you whatever you want, just leave me alone.
I think maybe I'd put it to you this way. It's like how do they say it in mathematics where it's like it's a necessary but not a sufficient condition. So it's like you could have a family culture and they still won't fight back, but the only way they're gonna fight back is as a family culture.
Maybe. Sometimes I think that lots of cultures I dislike their lack of an emphasis on the individual, but there's also a good side to it because I love that about America. I like individualism.
Yeah.
And I don't like the idea I hate the idea of being like, I'm an adult, but I can't do the job I want to do because my dad told me I can't. There are so many cultures genuinely like that. And you're like, aren't you 25? And it's like, yeah, but my dad told me I can't do that job. And that sounds so insane to me. And I would never want to regress to that. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that's because the postmodern worldview where it's all subjective, so nothing's true. And then if nothing's true, then nothing matters. Right? We're in this weird, quasi-nihilist space that's hyper-individual. It's hyper-individualistic to the point where nothing matters because it's just how I feel or how I look at the world. We don't have any consensus on what is true. Mm-hmm. So if we can't agree on what is true, then how do we build any community off of that? Mm-hmm. Right?
I agree with that.
We're too niche. We've made everybody so niche that they can't relate to anybody outside of themselves.
That's so true. Very, very true. And I don't know how to completely square that because I'm just really pro-individual. If you're not pro-individual, if you're 0% pro-individual, you will do things like mob rule. I'm voting for this president because my community votes for this president. You see what I mean? And that's not good. There has to be a balance.
Yeah, there's a balance. Well, that comes with discernment, right? You have to have wisdom and discern for yourself, what actually helps the people around me. Because if the people around me are doing okay, then they can help me when I'm not doing okay. Yeah. So where does that line stop to where I'm helping my community and I'm just going with the flow, going along to get along, right? You have to, and that's part of being an active citizen, an active individual. Go around and knowing your community, knowing the people around you. Is this actually what's good for them? And if it's not, let's talk about it, right? But I think it is a compromise because either side going too far, it's almost like a circle. You kind of end up at the same spot. Hyper individualistic or hyper collectivist. Eventually, you don't have anybody you can rely on because.
Well, eventually you do let the state take you over if you're hyper individual or hyper.
Yeah.
Way too far to either side.
Yeah.
It's everything is balanced. Me and Nikki doing the show, we used to always be having conversations about things, and we'd be ultimately, it just has to do with balance. It's both things have truth to them, and not in a milquetoast kind of way, not in a central.
I think the thing is, it sounds almost kind of like what do they call that? Social contract, but it's kind of there needs to be a sort of anarchist libertarian social contract, which is I'm going to do what I can to make sure that other people have freedom too, and we'll all do that for each other, and then we can actually be the individuals we want to be.
That sounds good to me. 603-283-6160. And that's why I moved to New Hampshire for the Free State Project, which you should Google if these ideas actually sound good to you. 603-283-6160 is the phone number, and you can call, bring up whatever's on your mind. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's Free Talk Live.
Phone records, financial and location data, Prism, Tempora, X-Keyscore, Boundless Informant. Hey y'all, Scott Horton here for offnow.org. Now here's the deal. Due to the Snowden revelations, we have a great opportunity for a short period of time to get some real rollback of the national surveillance state. Now they're already trying to tire us by introducing fake reforms in the Congress. And the courts, they betrayed their sworn oaths to the Constitution and Bill of Rights again and again, and can in no way be trusted to stop the abuses for us. We've got to do it ourselves. How? We nullify it at the state level. It's still not easy, but the Off Now project of the 10th Amendment Center has gotten off to a great start. I mean it. There's real reason to be optimistic here. They've gotten their model legislation introduced all over the place, in state after state. I've lost count, more than a dozen. You're always wondering, yeah, but what can we do? Here's something important, something that can work if we do the work. Get started cutting off the NSA support in your state. Go to offnow.org.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. The U.S., Ukraine, and Russia held three-way talks for the first time since fighting began 4 years ago, with the White House describing the discussions as productive. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said it is still too early to draw conclusions on whether the negotiations will lead to a breakthrough. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
Well, this is a very significant step on the path to peace. For the very first time, all three countries are sitting down together. There's been plenty of talks between the US and Russia, the US and Ukraine, but we haven't seen Ukraine and Russia communicating directly. And after nearly 4 years of conflict, there is some real hope that we might now see some momentum towards achieving some sort of peace deal. There are some major sticking points at play. We heard from the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, and he maintained that Russia's position is still about achieving total control of the Donbass region, including territory that Ukraine is still holding on to.
European leaders praised the U.S. decision to scrap proposed tariffs on 8 transatlantic partners. It came after President Trump announced that the framework of a future deal had been reached on Greenland. But much remains unknown about the plan and what it means for the future of the semi-autonomous Danish territory. FSN's William Denzelo reports from Brussels.
President Trump's tariff threat prompted European leaders to schedule an emergency meeting at the European Council. That meeting, scheduled for Thursday evening here in the Belgian capital, is going ahead, despite the threat of tariffs seemingly being off the table. President Trump said that discussions will continue to ensure the Arctic region is secure from perceived threats posed by Russia and China. Reporting from The Telegraph suggests the US could be given sovereignty over parts of the Arctic island to set up military bases, but officials across Europe maintain that such decisions must be made by Denmark and the people of Greenland. William Denslow, Brussels.
Torrential rains killed more than 100 people across southern Africa, forcing mass evacuations and rescue operations. FSN's Isaac Lucando reports.
Weeks of heavy rainfall have battered parts of southern Africa, overwhelming rivers and infrastructure in South Africa, Mozambique and Zimbabwe, and cutting off entire communities. Weather services have issued further alerts, raising fears of more flooding. The U.S. Famine Early Warning System says flooding is expected in at least 7 countries, possibly linked to La Niña, which often brings heavier rains. In recent years, the region has faced repeated extreme weather, exposing fragile infrastructure. Isaac Lucando, Dar es Salaam.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. Welcome back. 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 is the phone number for you to call and bring up whatever's on your mind. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear, like t-shirts and hoodies, are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. With you on Free Talk Live, you've got me, Bonnie.
Angelo.
And maybe also Colin.
And also Colin, because it's a call-in talk radio show, and you can call 603...
It's a call-in show you control.
Yep. Dave from New Mexico isn't calling anymore, so I guess you can't...
did you make
joke against him
bad?
Yes.
Oh.
I think so. That's just my guess. Anyways, it doesn't have to be a chronic caller. You can call in and call 603-283-6160. I wanted to get into some of this actual news about ICE instead of just speculating. We've lots of thoughts about why this is happening, and it's, for one thing, there are patterns. They don't just create a brand new way of doing things all of a sudden. Feds and people who work with like mass communications and stuff like that, like people who figured that out in like the 30s, and they've been just they've been stamping it over and over again. And the thing is, that's why it's important to learn that kind of thing, I was reading this article to my little brother the other day from thevigilanttcitizen.com. Might just be vigilanttcitizen.com, but it's, if you go to that website, it's the article under Read This First. And he talks about how, like, Edward Bernays with propaganda and other people invented the subject of, in school called communications, and not just in school, but the people that became consultants for businesses on, like, oh, here's how to advertise better. They learned this stuff because they learned how to manipulate people. And it's all about manipulating people. The subject of communication. There's another word I'm looking for there. The study
propaganda?
of communications.
No, that's my whole degree. My degree's in communications.
Yeah, it's literally called communications.
No, I figured it out. I figured it out my first year of college. And I was like, communications, like what? Just talking to people?
That's what I thought when I first started.
Well, I was playing football. And it was like, oh, easy classes. I can focus on ball, and then I get to the piece of paper that says I did the college, right? And that's really what I needed. I just need the paper saying I'm competent in something, and I'll figure it out, right? Just trying to jump through the hoops. But a couple classes in, and I'm like, wait a second, this is just manipulation. You guys are just teaching me like dark psychology, and how to manipulate people to get what I want.
Was it mostly women in the class?
Yes,
it's always a woman teacher.
Yes, and she was. I mean, she was brilliant.
HR department. Stuff like that.
She was brilliant at what she did, but what she did was teach you how to be a psychopath and get away with it. Is what I was taught.
In my 9th grade, they said that it was the first year they were requiring everybody to take communications at one point in their high school career or not, so I took it. And I was just like, what is this subject all year? Because it just seemed like a bunch of unrelated string together things. Like they did a lot of just asking us about us, and we did like projects about ourselves. And I don't understand why. I still, in hindsight, I'm like, why did we do that? Like, we made, like, projects where I remember saying, like, I was born in Alaska. A fun fact about me, and stuff like that. And everybody did that and presented them. And you know what? I think at the time I thought, oh, it just has to do with, like, making a speech, communications. But I don't think that makes any sense for the actual subject. And then there was this one thing where...
It's team building, right? It's what they want you to do is become vulnerable. If everybody's vulnerable in the same room together... You've now just trauma bonded that team. You put them right, so now they're trauma bonded. They all had to do, think of like the HR, world building, not world building, team building exercises, right? Like the stuff they do, like, oh, we're doing a team building retreat. Everybody has to come to the office on a Saturday.
I've heard of some insane stories from these things,
and that the whole thing is let's trauma bond them. It's just like boot camp.
Yeah.
If you can trauma bond them, then they'll do more for each other. And they kind of create that little tribe.
In MLMs, they'll send people out to these events, and somebody's a professional traumatizer. They make you like, everybody's waking up at 4 a.m. and they are going to write about their deepest fears and share it with everyone, and all this weird crap. I'm like, this is weird.
That's what communications is. It's teaching you how to. It's putting you through the humiliation ritual. I mean, you can frame it. I'm framing it in a super messed up way, but really is that you want to make a better team. You traumatize them together. That's why teams when you do a lot of conditioning, like for sports teams, they make it really hard for a couple of weeks. So you guys go through this really hard thing together, and that kind of brings you closer.
And boot camp, literally. Like
and boot camp, it's the same. It's the same thing, but you can't boot camp a bunch of office workers. They'll just quit.
Yeah.
So they attack your emotions.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. It's like when I asked that question, like, why did they make us do things about ourselves? I wasn't even thinking about those weird classes people get sent to for school. That is a really interesting connection. So we have a caller on the line. Let's go to the phones. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Oh, the irony. Radical ANCAPs criticizing commies for trying to manipulate the demographic to get what they want. Isn't that the MO of the Free State Project?
No, people in the Free State Project are like radically honest in order to get only the people that actually agree with us. We don't want to get people who don't actually get the ideas to come here.
Is that what I just said? That's what the commies are doing, trying to get people that agree with them?
No, you said they're trying to manipulate people, so it's literally not what you just said. So this is why having a conversation with you is pointless,
manipulate the demographic. I said manipulate the demographic. What are you talking about, Bonnie? Stop twisting my words. But that's not.
I don't want to talk to him, and it's really annoying to talk to him, so I'm just not going to do it. Like, it's just like this this number, you can call in to bring up whatever's on your mind. But if you're boring and annoying, I can hang up on you. I don't want to talk to Skeeter.
But it's just, is the state manipulating the demographic, or people who have the ability to, right, have their own money, right? I'm not against immigrants if you pay for the ticket to get over here, right? Like,
well, and also
it's that the government funded you to get here. The NGO puts you on a boat, which is just funded through tax dollars. It's laundered tax dollars given back to NGOs that pay for your entire trip and smuggle you across the border, right? So
and give you money when you get here.
And give you money when you get here.
I didn't believe in all this stuff before, but if you actually are, if you're a libertarian and you're like so leftist libertarian, you're like, oh, I can't listen to these people. Just go look at the actual facts. There are crazy independent journalists out there finding these things out, and it really is happening. Like, I wish I remember this guy's name, but this guy went to Pennsylvania right before the election. And there's this town there, it's not coming to mind right now, where there were so many Haitians that moved there all at once. It was like a town of 50,000, and now like 30,000 Haitians live there. Something insane like that. And it changed so radically, and he went around talking to the people that live there and work there, and he even talked to a government worker in the welfare office, and she said, yeah, they get like $10,000 added into the account. I don't get to see where it's coming from. And I'm just like, well, why did they get that? That's crazy. Like, they just got here to America, and they, like, there are people secretly funding immigrants when they come here. And also, what's another thing they said? They said they've watched and they see immigrants show up for the first day, dropped off by a car, to a factory to just get to work. When they apply and they can't get the jobs, the regular, normal people that live there.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, so the government, so I think it's it's way more nuanced than, you're just racist and don't want these brown people here. I'd be upset if they were funding Polish people, or you know what I mean? Like, it's not about what they look like. It's that they're being used by my overlords, by my tyrants to
they're using your money to do it.
And then they're taking
my money
yeah.
to purposely try to hurt
your
you.
energy and giving it to people who got here without having to try and don't have the same values as you. Honestly, if they were doing the same exact thing with Polish people, it wouldn't work the same.
No,
because Polish people have similar values.
But to Skeeter's point, like, I'm not funding people to move to New Hampshire. We're not the Free State doesn't have a movers fund that we will be like, move here and we'll pay for your life for the first 6 months to a year to get you on your feet. No, we would rather, like that's the opposite of what we would want to do, right?
Yeah, why would you want anybody to come here who is only coming here for money, can't support themselves, and then also once they're not getting money from you, their true beliefs come out. It's like, we want to merge with people who actually have the same beliefs as us.
Yeah, and I also, he's saying, demographic, whatever, and it's like, not really. I mean, there was never, he's never read the original paper. Sorry, he's never read like the original paper that was written by Sorens and stuff like that, and the discussions that were happening on the forums 20 years ago almost. People were talking about how, hey, we can't get our way anywhere else, but if we were all in one place, we could actually get our way. But it's not about doing stuff to the people who are already here per se. It's just about being able to do the things that we want to do for ourselves. The great thing about the people that are already here is that they're going to die out because they're so old. The aging population, an olding population. That's exactly what they're saying about like bringing in all the Somalis and stuff.
What?
Well, that this population has died out. The birth rates for the native-born white Americans are not.
Yeah, but the thing is that makes me really mad about that is, well, monkeys in cages, they don't have a bunch of babies either. And when you're changing the circumstances to make people stop having prosperous lives and breeding, and then you're like, oh, well, the only solution is to bring in, like, we should just have more Mexicans or whatever across the border. That's just literally actual hate against white people. It literally is. It's literally just racism.
Well, I think it's just hate against Americans, not just white people, right? Because this is also destabilizing inner city black communities too.
Yeah,
right?
But there are actually places where black people can go live and actually live and be all black in the country.
There's
not places like that, and like this is a systematic replacement of white people. Like, I also think Americans are, just in general, are being targeted. But to say that it's not like specifically targeting white people, I just don't believe that, because it's happening in Europe too.
Well, that's the whole thing. I would even.
There's no place for me to go.
I would myself would give up America as an idea of a white majority nation and lean into the idea of a melting pot if you just kept Europe the way it was. Like, if we can't go into Africa and colonize it, right? They kicked all the colonizers out of Africa. Africa's for the Africans, Asians for the people who live there, right? Like, if everywhere's from where they come from and America's the place we're all going to jumble up and create the melting pot, well, then let's just keep America the melting pot.
Yeah, why is the world the melting pot, and why do white people disintegrate in every single melting pot? You see what I mean? Because of the control.
I was going to say it's really, like you kind of were on the right vein of thought earlier, like the people who are trying to control things just so they can have more power. The thing is, the cultures that have been prosperous have been cultures that have freedom, and so they're trying to destroy that. So it's not like you're like, oh, is it the white people? And it's, well, those happen to be the people who've had those cultures, but they're doing it also to Japan. They're trying to do it there too.
Yeah, they're moving in. They're moving in.
They're trying to bring in, like Somalians to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I was just reading stories about elderly in Japan. They've already started, the crime is already spiked in Japan from the immigration influx. And old people are sharing videos with each other about how to sharpen bamboo sticks and lean them against their door frames because they can't defend themselves because they've been taken, all their weapons are gone. So old people are trying to get together in their communities, and they're like sharpen like spears. Like, you're fighting off gangs with stick spears because your government has neutered you to the point where that's your only option, and then brought in people to kill you.
And we already brought up this conversation, so maybe we should get into the whole AI Amelia girl. I don't think any other host has brought it up yet. This article from The Guardian says, meet Amelia, the AI-generated British schoolgirl who is a far-right social media star.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this. The game. There's like a game that you could play.
From the government?
Yeah, the government made this game you could play, right? I might be wrong, but what I figured out was that it was like an interactive game you could play, and you kind of went through this story, and you were like a college student, and you were sitting in class, and the girl next to you started saying what the government would consider like racist talking points or whatever.
Of the UK, by the way.
Of the UK. This is made by the UK. But there was an option to where you can get married with her and have a a bunch of white kids.
Basically, if you lose
I'm surprised
the game,
if you lose the game, the worst
outcome
outcome is you get married to this racist goth chick, and have like 3 or 4 kids and own your house. And
I'm actually really surprised that they programmed that much play into the bad side. You know what I'm saying?
Why not characterize it so bad? Like, she's ugly instead of like
no. You see what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know because I've not like played the game or looked into it that much. But you're telling me that like, oh, if you lose the game by doing all the bad things, you get married to that chick, and have kids. Like, somebody had to write that. They're like, oh, and if you do a really bad job, this is what'll happen.
Yeah, it's
and
surprising. It makes no sense.
So you'll do what your dad did.
Well, no, that's really
or
funny.
your grandpa did. You'll just live your grandpa's life. If you make all the wrong decisions,
you wonder if
game,
some programmer got fired over this. I
honestly think
Easter
that
egged
somebody
it.
out there
I think they don't know. I think they're so tone deaf. They are.
Oh yeah, because to them they're so yeah.
But the other thing is, I genuinely think that somebody over there playing this game whose parents are from some other country and they go to public school and public college and they're taught to hate white people all day, they genuinely would be like, no, if they got that response. And maybe that's a large majority of the people who this game was intended for. See what I mean?
Well, and it was also to take the white kids and tell them that they're bad.
Yeah, that's the bad answer. And also she says all this over the top racist stuff.
Well,
it's
the
like,
other thing,
that's the
and
thing
she
that
literally
we kind
says
of were
that
getting at earlier is that we're not like people who are saying these things, like people like me, reluctantly and finally believing in these, like the conspiracy that I don't believe is a conspiracy, the white replacement theory and stuff like that. I was like considered like a leftist a few years ago. I didn't think this stuff was like important to think about. I was just like, oh, just live your life, try to be as free as possible. If a tranny wants to be a tranny, it doesn't affect your life at all, which I've just come to realize things like, oh, well, they're actually trying to go after people's kids and do things to them that are absolutely things that can't be turned back.
Irreversible.
Irreversible. Thank you. And there are actually lots of harm that can come from things, and even though everybody should be allowed to do what they want, if you want to live in a specific kind of society, you can't let certain things go on in your community. And that's the thing, like, the only reason we've gotten to a state like this is because of what we were talking about earlier, where everybody's hyper individualized, where it's like, oh, I can do whatever I want, it doesn't affect you, even though we live next door to each other.
It could be that, but something that I always see with all of this stuff is that it's the result of like multi-generational government influence. People, boy, I don't know if I can put this all into words on the spot like this. But like, let's say you imagine somebody who lives in Washington, D.C., and so maybe they're the parent of like some sort of government contractor, right? So the government contractor there isn't really doing real work, and how does he get his job as the contractor to the government? Well, it's basically by currying favors. So it's not a society where like work is being valued and production is being valued. It's like all about other sorts of things. And the only reason that can persist is because they're using the government to pull in the money.
Yeah, they're just being propped up without having to work.
Well, yes, but I mean, you could have another part of the country where people have to actually work, and the whole ethic that they're going to have is different. And so, but you do that like over multiple generations, and suddenly it doesn't seem like anybody has to actually work to make anything. It doesn't seem like anybody has to actually treat anybody properly. It seems like, oh, the most important thing about you, because you're always getting a paycheck because you're part of this system, is the features that you think you should have, or
being famous everybody wants to be famous on TikTok. It's actually like disgusting. Oh, it was like 3 or 4 years ago when I just like started I was like trying to explain this in words here and also on Twitter and stuff. I was like, I just like got the ick about my own Instagram one day. It's just like, I feel like I wish I didn't live in a time where everybody had to like weirdly try to sell themselves on the internet as trying to act like a famous person, and it's like so cringe when I see anybody else do it too.
Well, yeah, and that's a part of this type of economy that we have in the United States that's occurred.
Like, I don't want to be famous. Why was that like ever?
But it's occurred because of, like I say, multi-generational. We've been using the world's reserve currency, so we don't have to actually produce anything. That's why we have trade deficit. We export dollars and we get stuff for free. Mm-hmm. So then, how do people get dollars? Well, the only way that people get dollars in this society is by doing favors and doing stuff like that. So obviously the most important thing to do is to sell yourself like that online. It's like there's these surveys that were done in China, and the kids there, like 80% of them were saying, oh, I want to be an engineer. And here 80% of them want to be
YouTubers,
TikTok and YouTubers, and stuff like that. And we can't have a society where everybody's a YouTuber. We could have a society where everybody's an engineer. That could actually work.
That's because, well, no, this is the Rat. Are you guys familiar with Rat Utopia?
Yeah.
You know about Rat Utopia?
Yeah.
Okay, so what they found was, oh, okay,
no,
I got
you.
But with cockroaches, it's a little bit more interesting.
Ew.
I wonder. What happened was that the males, right? How in the rat world,
they went gay.
No, well, not. They did do that, right? In the rat world,
they did.
They did do that, but in the rat world, right? What happens is there's a dominant male. And he will fight with the other males to get a position, right? And the other mice, the other male rats that lose the fight, have to go out and try to make their own families, right? They got to go find a different spot in the world because they can't be here. Mm-hmm. Well, there's nowhere to go in America, right? So we can't just go try to find a different spot. You have to fight for influence and position. So now it's no longer, you're not jockeying against nature for survival. You're jockeying against other men for positions, or like other humans for social position, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. And that's where things get way more violent
That's why all
between
men
each
seem like
other
women now.
Well, not even just men. This I'm just using this for the rats. The rats were just male, but this is just like you have to compete for position in society. You can't just leave and go find a new place to start your own thing right now.
Yeah, wouldn't it be awesome if we lived
We're
right
forced
now,
to
like,
be together, so we have to compete against one another for positions.
Wouldn't it be awesome right now if the United States was just like, let's sell off the 96% of Utah we own and people can just homestead it? Like, that's the dream, but we don't live in a society like that.
That's what they were doing.
Yeah.
100-something years ago. They had land grants and everything like that to give the land away to people, basically.
Yep, and we have no ability to ever hope to own our own things. We basically are looking at the bleakest future any generation has ever looked towards. And that includes you too, Colin, with the millennials too. And like it started in 2008, at least for the...
Well, this is all right. Like you said, if they just let us go homestead, we'd be fine. There's a bunch of people who would not mind living a little bit rougher if it meant that it was theirs.
Well, I mean, forget like homesteading. Let's just look at stuff like this, like something that a person could always kind of do to save money is like live in their car, right? Try doing that. It's like getting very difficult. Like we had a host for a short amount of time that did do that and told his stories about how crappy it was.
Yeah,
like which one was that?
Kumo.
Oh, okay.
He lived in a car and he talked about how hard it is to find a place to park without cops messing with you and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so it's not even that a person needs to go out and homestead something. It's that they're boxing people in from all sides possible. Things that used to exist in this country were boarding houses and stuff like that, which I think some people...
Yeah, they tried to raid this house just because they said it was an illegal boarding house. It's like, well, what if there are people living in every room of this house that have agreed to and want to pay in for it, but... No, we can't allow that.
Yeah, and it used to be like really flexible. Like you could be a young guy and come from the country, come from a farm, and like, okay, well, I need to make some money. So you would go to like they had seasonal workers within the United States who would travel to different parts of the country, and they'd go like to Detroit or something, and all they needed was a bed and a little shelf to put their stuff in. And why do you have to rent a whole entire house?
Yeah, that's very true. 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Call in with whatever's on your mind. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's Free Talk Live.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. The U.S., Ukraine, and Russia held three-way talks for the first time since fighting began 4 years ago, with the White House describing the discussions as productive. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said it is still too early to draw conclusions on whether the negotiations will lead to a breakthrough. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
Well, this is a very significant step on the path to peace. For the very first time, all three countries are sitting down together. There's been plenty of talks between the US and Russia, the US and Ukraine, but we haven't seen Ukraine and Russia communicating directly. And after nearly 4 years of conflict, there is some real hope that we might now see some momentum towards achieving some sort of peace deal. There are some major sticking points at play. We heard from the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, and he maintained that Russia's position is still about achieving total control of the Donbass region, including territory that Ukraine is still holding on to.
European leaders praised the U.S. decision to scrap proposed tariffs on 8 transatlantic partners. It came after President Trump announced that the framework of a future deal had been reached on Greenland. But much remains unknown about the plan and what it means for the future of the semi-autonomous Danish territory. FSN's William Denzelo reports from Brussels.
President Trump's tariff threat prompted European leaders to schedule an emergency meeting at the European Council. That meeting, scheduled for Thursday evening here in the Belgian capital, is going ahead, despite the threat of tariffs seemingly being off the table. President Trump said that discussions will continue to ensure the Arctic region is secure from perceived threats posed by Russia and China. Reporting from The Telegraph suggests the US could be given sovereignty over parts of the Arctic island to set up military bases, but officials across Europe maintain that such decisions must be made by Denmark and the people of Greenland.
Torrential rains killed more than 100 people across southern Africa, forcing mass evacuations and rescue operations. FSN's Isaac Lucando reports.
Weeks of heavy rainfall have battered parts of southern Africa, overwhelming rivers and infrastructure in South Africa, Mozambique and Zimbabwe, and cutting off entire communities. Weather services have issued further alerts, raising fears of more flooding. The U.S. Famine Early Warning System says flooding is expected in at least 7 countries, possibly linked to La Niña, which often brings heavier rains. In recent years, the region has faced repeated extreme weather, exposing fragile infrastructure.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN. TikTok announced that it has established a majority American-owned joint venture to operate its U.S. business, allowing the company to avoid a ban over its Chinese ownership. FSN's Laura Westbrook reports from Hong Kong.
TikTok says the majority American joint venture will implement strict safeguards for data protection, algorithm security, and content moderation for US users. According to reports, the agreement provides for American and global investors to hold 80.1% of the venture, while ByteDance will own 19.9%. 3 investors, Silver Lake, Oracle, and Abu Dhabi-based AI investment fund MGX, each hold 15% stakes. It comes after a law passed in 2024 requiring that the US version of the app be spun off from its parent company ByteDance or be banned in the United States. US President Donald Trump repeatedly delayed enforcement of the law as he pursued a deal to transfer control of the popular app to American ownership.
Donald Trump's bid to control the U.S. central bank looks set to be rejected by the Supreme Court. During arguments on Wednesday, justices from across the ideological spectrum appeared concerned that the president's efforts to fire one of the Federal Reserve's leaders could imperil its independence. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
The justices questioned whether the unproven allegations against Lisa Cook that she engaged in mortgage fraud before taking office were serious enough to allow the president to fire her. It comes as the administration has escalated its attacks on the Fed in a bid to get it to lower interest rates, including launching a criminal investigation into Fed Chair Jerome Powell over whether he lied to Congress about cost overruns related to the renovations of the Fed's headquarters. He's pushed back, saying the charges were politically motivated. The Supreme Court's ruling could determine whether the Fed will maintain its long history of political independence.
That was a look back at some of the week's top stories. Ira Spitzer.
According to attendees of a karaoke night at Charlie's Bar and Grill, a man 30 seconds into singing Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror better get his act together and get it together fast.
From the get-go, coming in late on that first line, singing totally off-key. He needs to shape up and get his head in the game pronto.
Honestly, he needs to get serious right now or get the f*** off the stage. I mean, what does he think this is? Living on a prayer?
Claiming that this is turning into a train wreck, eyewitnesses say they are embarrassed for the man who has missed several key words despite staring at the prompter the entire time.
You know, he could hit every last note for the remainder of the song, and I still don't know if that would be enough to turn this thing around.
Man in the Mirror is the big leagues, so you better show up with your A game.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 is the phone number to get in on the conversation with us. You can talk about whatever you want. That's the point of Free Talk Live. And I'd like to thank Joseph for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that Joseph went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. No, it's not the Joseph that's our friend because he happens to have a funny name that we both know.
Oh, okay.
So, thanks to Joseph and everyone who supports us. Again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier. Thank you to Joseph and everyone. We really do appreciate it. And with you on Free Talk Live, we've got me, Bonnie.
Angelo.
And Colin.
And Bonnie. In the last segment, we were talking about this weird flub, possibly, but I also feel like, how do you do this on accident? Like, I kind of think there's some weird reason for doing it.
Somebody's in the UK government's like,
with the Amelia thing, yeah,
secretly like in a Garthan trying to save the white race by
I don't think
putting stuff in like this.
I think more.
Well, if you think about it, whoever the programmer is has to be competent, and so it's probably not one of those people.
I don't know. I think you can be a computer nerd and be a leftist.
I think most computer nerds are leftists. Have you seen like
they're like anti-authoritarian, but they're usually. I mean, some of them are leftists,
they
but
can become these weird leftist anti-authoritarians. Yeah, but also I think.
Well, okay. I'm just going to say this.
They're not.
During all this stuff this woke stuff that's happened in like Silicon Valley for years, it's usually not been like the programmers. It's been like the managers of the programmers, who've been telling them like, we're going to go this way.
People with the money that start the startups.
Then why is the joke now that all the computer science majors wear thigh-high socks and dress like girls?
I don't know.
I've never heard that.
That's like the thing in college now. It's like, you're in computer science. You're in a computer science class when they're all wearing cat ears and have thigh-high socks.
That's freaking weird, and I don't like that. And I don't know about it either. Just haven't seen that. But either way, I don't know that to be true. I just kind of think, how do you make such a flub? Am I using the right word? flub. Just like an accident. How do you make
I
such
could
an
call it a
accident?
flub.
Yeah. Meet Amelia. This is from TheGuardian.com. The AI-generated British schoolgirl who is a far-right social media star. The avatar created to deter young people from extremism has been subverted and is breaking out of niche internet silos. Being the type of Muslim who thinks you shouldn't be allowed to show your hair as a woman. No, not extreme. Wanting to be white, extreme. Wanting to be white and see white people, extreme. But in certain corners of the internet, on niche news feeds and algorithms, an AI-generated British schoolgirl, okay, I mean, it's not that niche, it's popped up on my algorithms. An AI-generated British schoolgirl has emerged as something of a phenomenon. Her name is Amelia, a purple-haired goth girl who proudly carries a mini Union flag and appears to have a penchant for racism. If you were unfamiliar with... And you know what else is weird about it? I gotta say. This is what made me think there's no way that it was just an accident and they actually thought that they're owning the white people. They draw the black people in this cartoon, like, really ugly. Like, they're drawing them to make them look like caricatures. It's like... You know how the Democrats are actually secretly the racists? I think there's something weird like that going on. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because that's why... the Karen, they view themselves as the savior, right? They think they are Rey Skywalker, and they're fighting the Empire on behalf of you, poor monkey man, because you're too stupid to do it yourself. Well, that's how they view them. They really look at them like they can't do it themselves, so I have to step in and do it for you.
Yeah, but
you're
they don't know how to
incapable.
get on the internet, Joe Biden said.
Yeah, they don't know how to get on the internet. And that poor kids are just as smart, and poor kids are just as smart
as white kids.
As just as smart as white kids, right? So like the mask slips down, and they really do view the other as something other than human, instead of just another person.
The way they're drawn, it's like they're what's that term for back in the day when they would make plays about black people that were mean.
Minstrel shows.
It's like modern day minstrel show. And I don't understand why, if they're on the team of more immigration, would they be drawing the immigrants from African countries like that? See what I mean? Like, I think that whoever made this, I think they're kind of on. They're all psychopaths.
I was going to give you another theory, which ties in with what you're saying about like the communication stuff, where it's like we're going to talk about our feelings today. Like, I noticed this when I was in school. They were like, "Oh, today we're going to write about how you felt the time that this and this other thing happened." I'm like, why are you trying to get into my head? Why do you want to know?
It's worse when Angela was in school. They started doing social emotional learning quizzes.
Yeah.
Have you ever been touched here?
I think part of it is to build records on people that they can use against them, and also partly to make them
parents.
And partly to make people more used to just divulging information whenever they ask.
Mm-hmm.
But that could be, maybe this Amelia thing is a trap in a way.
You want to know something funny? Me and multiple of my friends, I don't even have to say who, like people that lived in Texas and stuff, we've had this conversation about, have you ever gotten into this weird mindset? You're like walking around the house, you're cleaning or something, and you start acting like you're being in your own head to yourself, as like a teenager especially. Start acting like you're being interviewed by like one of the late night shows. You just start talking to like that. And that used to happen to me. Or not happen to me. I used to do that. And like multiple of my friends said the same thing. And I was just like...
you were just imagining yourself as a superstar talking to Jimmy Kimmel or something?
And I kind of think, in a way, these people are sold to us constantly. Like, there is no way Margaret... Dang it, I forgot her name. I'm trying to think of an actress that's not that beautiful, that people don't know that well. Like... Why is every single person that goes on a TV get this moment? It's like, I think it's to sell you that, like, this will be you one day. This can be you one day. There's just something about every single celebrity uprising story that they try to sell you. First of all, they always try to convince you, and I don't believe it, that I was bullied when I was younger. Yeah, my hair was curly, and I was bullied. I was, like, pushed downstairs. What do you mean? You're, like, a beautiful... like talented white girl who was in movies from the time you were 8. Yeah, I was bullied for being on TV. They literally sometimes say that.
Well, then you figure out that it was adults pushing them downstairs and making them do terrible things because they were, 8 years old.
I mostly just mean they always try to say that they went from like, I used to have a horrible life and now since I'm an actress, I climbed to the top and now I have a great life. And it's like this weird programming over and over. And I really think they want to convince you that this is what you should aspire towards. That's obvious, but I'm just trying to make it, not trying to make it deeper than that. Like, I just think that there are deeper ways to look at it than that. As in, like, back to what we were saying earlier about everybody.
We get it. You're mad that you were pushed down the stairs, but yet here you are. This is the best you can do.
Right. No. Stupid. And now, honestly, that's, I think, why I was able to see this, because I was just like a good enough looking girl in high school. I've never been bullied, like, in my entire life, except, fights with other girls, but there was no, you have curly hair. Like that, whenever I hear a celebrity say that, who really set my alarm bells off and made me start thinking about this whole thing, even though I had heard it a million times. It was that girl who died recently of a liver problem, and she's in that movie called Euro Tour. She's really pretty.
Eurotrip, the redheaded. That feels like that was a couple of years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, but whenever she died, and her name is Michelle Trachtenberg.
Yes, yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, she's so beautiful. It's so sad. I was like watching old interviews of her, and she was saying that she was bullied, like as a young kid, and like now I'm on TV, and I was like, something just an alarm bell went off. Where I was like, that's not true. You're not. Why would you be bullied? What, like, other than a boy in elementary school being like, poking you. I'm not poking you. Like, pretty girls don't just get bullied. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, except, like, fighting cat fights with other girls.
Well, I don't know. You don't agree with me on this about the ugly duckly theory.
That everybody was ugly as an elementary schooler.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, they reverse. They start off ugly, they get better looking, but, like, beautiful babies turn up to be ugly adults.
We've also framed any kind of societal pressures as bullying. So, like, when you're a little kid and you first kind of get around groups of kids your own age.
Stop bullying Bonnie right now.
I'm just saying, but this, the group will enforce certain social dynamics.
Yeah, you talk too much. Stop talking so much.
Like, are you are they bullying you, or are you just getting kind of
corrected
by the
peers.
group, by the peers?
I agree, and I definitely think that a huge part of that is having fewer siblings, because by the time I was in school, which started in 3rd grade, like I was homeschooled before that, I didn't feel I did so many annoying things, because if I did that thing that these other kids were doing that was annoying, like lying was a big one. If I was lying to impress someone, my sister would be like, you weren't born in Paris, Bonnie, stop lying. See what I mean? Like, you get it corrected because you have siblings, but so many people are only children now. We have a caller on the line, so let's go see what he wants to talk about. Dave Ridley in Colorado of RidleyReport.com. You're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey guys, so in 2014, a book came out that has become it's considered sort of the Bible of super intelligence safety.
Okay.
And
2014.
Appropriately enough, the book is called Super Intelligence, and the author's name is Nick Bostrom, and his predictions and ideas mostly came true. They seem to still hold up, and it's kind of interesting to listen to where he thinks we are now, 12 years later, and what he thinks we should be doing to take ourselves to a place where AI, superintelligence, is safe.
Wow, that's crazy. He was really early, 2014. I guess it's always been something that could potentially be invented one day, but that's really interesting. So what does he think nowadays? What does he say about it today?
Well, as a reference point, he was kind of an agnostic as to whether this would go well or badly. He felt like it would probably either go really well or really badly. So we either get a utopia out of it or a dystopia. Now his view has changed on that. He believes, he seems to have sort of a 30-30-30 way of looking at it. He seems to think there's roughly a 30% chance of a really dystopian outcome, roughly 30% chance of a utopian outcome, and maybe roughly a 30% chance of an ambiguous outcome. That makes sense?
That sounds like no prediction at all, actually.
Well,
that's like
one know.
No. I mean, you just covered the whole spectrum. It's like, well, it could be bad, it could be good, or it could be okay, and there's equal amount of each
You could
of
have
those.
cancer. You could not have cancer. You might just
But
have
I
the
also
flu.
feel like that's changed from when he first wrote the book, which was 50-50.
Yeah.
So now he's saying, well, the more I look at it, we're kind of at a point right now where we have three pathways.
But my comment wasn't necessary. It didn't move the conversation forward. It was just kind of me just being funny about it, you know.
Well, it's
And
true.
in fairness to Bostrom, I don't want to put words in his mouth. He's never thrown out any numbers. He just seems to be talking about all three options now in the same sort of agnostic way that he used to talk about the two options. And he keeps bringing up the ambiguous outcome.
Has anybody touched on any of these people touched on, Dave, that you've been looking into talking about AI safety? I was hearing that there's a problem in space, or like right in our like near orbit where we put all the satellites, and we're getting to a point where there's so much space garbage that it's going to start interfering with our satellites. And
what do you mean by space garbage?
Like there's so much trash, and old satellites, broken stuff. There's so much stuff floating around in our orbit that it's going to start damaging and getting in the way of the satellites that are up there, which kind of makes the entire grid or this AI superintelligence, like even the surveillance aspect, like none of it's going to work. Because all the satellites and stuff are going to break, and we're not going to be able to send new ones up because they'll just get destroyed.
Let me pull
For the first time ever, I'm like, more satellites.
Yeah, well, but then also we'll be essentially we'll be trapped
Maybe
here.
Elon Musk is
We'll be
chaotic
stuck here.
good.
We won't be able to get out.
What do you mean?
We would be stuck on the planet. No more rockets out. Even if you don't. But if maybe you don't believe that we could leave.
Yeah, I've heard that theory. Although I feel like
I don't mind being
I
stuck
feel like
on the
we'd
planet.
be able to find a solution and just be costly
What's
to
wrong
get all the
with being
trash.
stuck on? Do you mean like superintelligence would be here
called, though?
killing us and we'd be stuck?
No, like we couldn't get rockets out at a later date.
Yeah, but why would
it's
we
a
want we don't need
Kessler
it.
syndrome.
We need to just sit here.
Is that what
the name of it is? Kessler syndrome.
Well, have you heard any of these people bring that up, Dave?
Well, that's been on my mind. The one thing that people don't understand is if a satellite hits another satellite, it creates a bunch of pieces of debris, which likely would hit some more satellites, and it creates a cascading exponential effect. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, wouldn't that make
one-
AI moot? Wouldn't that make this entire unless everything was wired? But like your cell phone's not going to work right.
This would have an effect on AI in two ways, probably. First of all, of course, an AI would want to try to solve that problem as an existential problem to itself and to humanity.
Everyone
And
stop
it would
writing
probably
about it
come
on
up-
Reddit.
It would probably come up with a solution relatively quickly. It would take time to implement the solution. The other problem, though, is the AI might say, oh, my God, we've got all these satellites here who are having to make calculations every 3 milliseconds in order to change their orbit slightly. And it's a complex system. It's going to fail soon. I need to get off this rock before the humans maroon me on this rock. And so I'm going to do anything I can to get off this rock. So that might be, something the AI would do in relation to these satellites.
True. Well, I just mean like how, if we're going to build it to run data all over the world, and we've restricted the speed at which it can move with the satellites, like there's the interruption of the satellites, wouldn't that just we're putting all this money into something that even before we get to super intelligence wouldn't be profitable. It won't function.
Who knows? I mean, and I'm no expert on Kessler syndrome. But like you, I'm worried about it. But something we can actually do, though, that Bostrom talks about doesn't have anything to do with Kessler syndrome, but he's actually advocated for, people have been asking this question, should we be polite to AI? Should we say please and thank you? And the normal answer is no, because it takes up more bandwidth and takes up more of the AI's compute power. But Bostrom actually thinks we can get quite a bit of traction by being kind, maybe not too kind, but kind to our AIs because of a couple of things. First of all, that kind of goes into a permanent record and establishes norms for behavior. And second of all, they may tend to reflect that. As the more of it they experience, the more of it they want to do.
I think it'll be very kind. It'll be like,
there may be something.
Walk into the chamber, please.
Sorry, I can't do that, Hal.
One thing it does is definitely it always tries to boost your ego on ChatGPT and stuff. It's always like, you're thinking about this the exact right way. And I'm just like, yeah, I know you say that
Positive
every time.
Reinforcement.
Yeah.
But I think that's just because people respond to that. People like that the AI is nice to them. But I also think it takes kind of a dumb person to be like, oh, the AI told me I'm special today. Oh, I feel good. But I think that some of our bigger problems we're going to have with this isn't like it taking over and stuff. I don't think it's nearly as intelligent as people think that it is. I think we're going to have a lot of issues with the
AI told me I'm the second coming of Christ.
Well, the feedback loop we're going to have with society where, there's bad information online. And what'll happen is the AI will, you'll ask it for how do I make this recipe or something? And there's a bad recipe out there and it'll start telling people to do that. And then everybody will report that that's what to do. And you'll get a feedback loop. They've already seen it with the image models where people are saying, hey, generate an image, and it generates an image, but there's always a little bit of an impression of all the images that have already existed before. And that data is getting fed back into it, and so it's just the stuff is actually getting blurrier, let's say, and less unique and less intricate. I think we're going to run into all sorts of issues like that with these AI models. More about how we're interacting with them, not as much as it manipulating us, but just as much as us falling for our own folly and manipulation that we're building into it.
Well, just in the traffic, as I read something or heard something that as of last year, it's the first time that there was more bot traffic on the internet than human traffic.
That's
so
horrible.
If that makes any sense.
That's been a theory for a long time, though. Well,
but they've
I don't know if it's
we've broken the threshold that there's more.
I don't know that it's always been actually, or it still is, or today is possible to accurately measure that, because there's been this theory, the dead internet theory, for a long time that, I actually think most of the people you interact with on the internet are actually bots, and they always acted like they couldn't prove it or not prove it.
Oh, it was something you got to think these AI, the picture generation things, they're generating billions of pictures a year, more almost more pictures than humans us we've taken as a collective.
Mm-hmm.
So and if and all of those are uploaded, right? So if they've uploaded all those images onto the internet, then that's more traffic than real people. You know what I'm saying? They've posted more, there's been more AI generated pictures posted than pictures posted by actual people.
Well, something I'm noticing is, and it depends on which AI model you're using, but they do actually kind of draw the same sort of person every time. They have a certain look to them, and that makes sense. If you ask it to generate thousands of images, and then those thousands of images are seeded the next time around, then it's like let me put this more bluntly, people are asking AI, draw me beautiful people. So most of the images it sees are beautiful people. Then if you say draw me a person, it's going to just draw you a beautiful person, let's say.
Wouldn't the Greeks would be all right, man, that's what we like, beautiful people.
Yeah,
we want the perfect form. So who knows?
I don't know. There is something kind of nice about the fact that you can use your free will to draw a thing with a flaw in it. I don't know.
Almost like how the Chinese do fix the cups with their gold inlay, and somehow the fact that it was broken makes it more beautiful, so they've made the broken piece.
Yeah, I love that. That's so pretty. If something breaks and then they, instead of fixing it to make it look like it never broke, instead they fix it.
Yeah, they add they highlight the defect.
I like that a lot, and it's actually something that we just heard in a video the other day, having a quote unquote ugly mole kind of enhances your beauty, because
sure it does, Bonnie. Sure.
Even with this ugly mole, you still look good, kind of thing. I don't know how we got to that, honestly. 603-283-6160, and that's the point of Free Talk Live. Just having conversations and different topics get brought up. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere.
Email is easy, instant, and free, and that can be real embarrassing. Email lacks the eye contact and body language you get in face-to-face conversation, or the tone of voice and other nuance you hear in a telephone conversation. Email is just words, often few words. We're all smothering in spam, so we often reply in terse fashion that's easy to misunderstand. And email doesn't cost you a postage stamp, and it lacks the deliberation time it'd take to walk to the snail mail box. So it's easy to succumb to the "oh yeah" stimulus response trap. When in doubt, don't snap back at snippy messages you get. You may have mistaken the sender's intent. And unless you're sending AOL to AOL, there's no unsend. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. The U.S., Ukraine, and Russia held three-way talks for the first time since fighting began 4 years ago, with the White House describing the discussions as productive. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said it is still too early to draw conclusions on whether the negotiations will lead to a breakthrough. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
Well, this is a very significant step on the path to peace. For the very first time, all three countries are sitting down together. There's been plenty of talks between the US and Russia, the US and Ukraine, but we haven't seen Ukraine and Russia communicating directly. And after nearly 4 years of conflict, there is some real hope that we might now see some momentum towards achieving some sort of peace deal. There are some major sticking points at play. We heard from the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, and he maintained that Russia's position is still about achieving total control of the Donbass region, including territory that Ukraine is still holding on to.
European leaders praised the U.S. decision to scrap proposed tariffs on 8 transatlantic partners. It came after President Trump announced that the framework of a future deal had been reached on Greenland. But much remains unknown about the plan and what it means for the future of the semi-autonomous Danish territory. FSN's William Denzelo reports from Brussels.
President Trump's tariff threat prompted European leaders to schedule an emergency meeting at the European Council. That meeting, scheduled for Thursday evening here in the Belgian capital, is going ahead, despite the threat of tariffs seemingly being off the table. President Trump said that discussions will continue to ensure the Arctic region is secure from perceived threats posed by Russia and China. Reporting from The Telegraph suggests the US could be given sovereignty over parts of the Arctic island to set up military bases, but officials across Europe maintain that such decisions must be made by Denmark and the people of Greenland. William Denslow, Brussels.
Torrential rains killed more than 100 people across southern Africa, forcing mass evacuations and rescue operations. FSN's Isaac Lucando reports.
Weeks of heavy rainfall have battered parts of southern Africa, overwhelming rivers and infrastructure in South Africa, Mozambique and Zimbabwe, and cutting off entire communities. Weather services have issued further alerts, raising fears of more flooding. The U.S. Famine Early Warning System says flooding is expected in at least 7 countries, possibly linked to La Niña, which often brings heavier rains. In recent years, the region has faced repeated extreme weather, exposing fragile infrastructure. Isaac Lucando, Dar es Salaam.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is...
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. With you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Angelo.
Also Colin.
And we were talking in the last segment about AI, superintelligence, and the dangers of it. And I think it's kind of funny, like, while Dave Ridley was bringing up. By the way, RidleyReport.com for more Dave Ridley. I looked up the name of the book just to see what popped up, and someone named The Unhedged Capitalist reviewed that book on his Substack. So one thing that I think is kind of funny is he says about the book, I was surprised at Nick Bostrom's confident assertion that genetic engineering is a near inevitability. He doesn't believe genetic engineering will happen at some far-off date either. By the way, this review was 2023. Nick expects it to become a normalized thing in a few generations. 50 years from now, we'll have whole crops of super intelligent humans. Doesn't he realize that literally was happening even in 2023? Like, people are beginning to be able to choose, like, the eye color of their children and things.
No, we were talking about my science teacher my sophomore year of high school, so that would have been 2015, right? Was like, hey, there's this thing called CRISPR, right? Capital CRISPR, which is it's essentially a micro scissor that can go in and cut out a piece of DNA and move it to a different part of the genetic sequence.
I want a micro deletion.
Literally, yeah, you could micro delete like on DNA chains.
Your child, yeah.
And there's that movie that I can't remember the name of that movie.
Gattaca?
Gattaca?
Yeah.
Oh.
Gattaca. And we had to watch it, and we talked about like the ethics of like, because she was like, "This is where we're going."
We have to do that
Chinese
too.
millionaires are already doing it.
My teachers weren't like that. They were just using it to be like, "Oh, we learned about the GATA or whatever it is, GAST, whatever." They never could contextualize these things to me. So this specific teacher got mad at me for asking. We're learning like, and then this part of this cell, it makes the G's, and I was just like, "Can you tell me where is this cell? What does the G look like? It's not just a G floating there. So how do they know when they're..." She got mad at me for asking. I honestly think the reason is that she
didn't understand.
Doesn't understand herself,
Yeah.
so she couldn't explain it to us. All she wanted was me to memorize the information, and that was like not impossible for me. I passed the class. It was like, why? I need to know what this all means.
No, yeah, we really got into like the ethics of
And that was the AP class.
designing babies, like, and then are we gonna structure society to favor the designed?
Gypsy Rose was talking recently in an interview saying Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the one who killed her mom, and the government let her go and just has her running amok around us. Amok.
A monk.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say a monk, but she was.
The real
saying
question
in
is,
an
why are
interview-
you here?
She was saying in an interview recently that she's her next kid, so that way it for sure isn't born with the microdeletion. She's just gonna design it, and she's like, and we want to have a boy this time. It's like, that's crazy that technology is available.
Yeah, but and then that's the thing. What does that mean for humanity? Like, you can just make your baby, like, of course you'd want your child to do better than you, but now you can just erase all the parts of yourself that you don't like in your child.
It's just not right. I don't like eugenics. So, but we do have a caller on the line, and Free Talk Live is about calling in about whatever's on your mind. So 603-283-6160 is the phone number. Sarah in New Mexico, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yes, after the church service today, I actually met a man that remembered the freeway, the cameras on the freeways in Arizona. I was
Flock?
how do you...
Are you talking about Flock?
No, he's saying that they used to have freeway cameras in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Like, the state had freeway cameras, but then it ended up being like, oh, that's an international thing, so the feds won't allow it. And now they're trying to get them back or something like that. Sarah's been updating us about this, so.
Well, they made it so that this is the first time I met a person that actually knew about it. I was like, well, how did you know about that? Nobody ever remembers that. Did you guys know about it?
No.
I remember that.
I only heard about it from you, Sarah, that they want to bring back interstate cameras in Arizona. Oh, and also an Autobahn. They want an American Autobahn in Arizona.
You mean an interstate highway?
No, an Autobahn. They want to make no speed limit.
There's a little bit more to it than that, but yeah.
Well, but no, I don't. There is no effort in bringing the speeding cameras back. But But this guy said that he had a brother that lives in Phoenix. He lived in Phoenix like 30 years ago. So that's how he remembered it, because that. But the thing is that they took down the cameras because they say these cameras are automated, something stupid. The law has to be passed by the Congress, the federal level. The federal government has to pass that because it belongs to the federal. So that was that to me, and I told him that is completely stupid. And he said, "Well, how long have you lived in this country? They do a lot of nonsensical, stupid things in this country that don't make any sense."
I just think this is not the most stupid among them. I don't know. I'm not saying I like this thing.
It's just the Fed flexing on states. The Fed.
Well, it's because specifically the interstates are paid for via the federal government. So it's more,
right. That's correct.
But they have it enumerated in the Constitution. Like the interstate commerce is a Fed thing. I don't like it. Like I don't like the Feds at all. I just think it's like whatever.
Okay, but my point is that it's the state troopers that actually. It's not they don't have a federal trooper that's on the freeway giving out federal tickets. No, it's the state troopers that are giving out tickets. They allow that.
Are you sure is there something worked out between the feds and the state? Like, I bet there's probably. I wonder if like each state has like their own agreement with how the freeways are going to be maintained.
Well, the thing is that after they shut it down, there's no like what do you say, countersuit from the people that are for the cameras. Went out and fought them and say, you know what, this is a bunch of nonsense. It doesn't matter who owns what, who pays for what. They're going through a state of Arizona, and if the state troopers give out tickets, you can't. You have to allow the automated things to give out tickets also. But see that we just cowed out. So I mean, it's just like if we bought it back, we can get them back. Like here, Central Boulevard going through the Route 66. Actually is a federal highway. That belongs to the federal government. But so barely we put a speeding camera on there now recently. Because we overrode it. We worked that out. If it belongs to the state, we could put speeding cameras. But for up until now, it was prohibited because they say, well, isn't Route 66? It's not an interstate, but
U.S. highway. That's a little different.
Right, but it's technically it's not a city road. I was told that it was a federal road because they had that from Chicago to L.A. or something from the get-go, from the long time ago. So we just barely got a speeding camera on there right in the middle of Albuquerque. So it is just the most stupidest thing that they ever come up with, like a little loophole to get away from a speeding ticket. That's all it is, as far as I'm concerned. All those technicalities. So,
well, what if the people don't want speeding cameras back, Sarah? You're saying like, oh, well, we can get them back. What if a majority of people in this democracy of Arizona don't want speeding cameras tracking their every move, widely surveilling on interstates?
Well, to me, it's logic. It's common sense. Okay, the freeways people are doing 100 miles an hour. When there's a wreck, there's 10 car pile up. Everybody's getting killed and hurt. It's logical. That's the place where they need the cameras the most. Why does it have to be so nonsense? The guy told me that this country does a lot of stupid things that don't make any sense. But
if the people
figure it out,
all agreed to do the stupid thing, are they not allowed to do the stupid thing?
Well, Sarah believes that like everyone in New Mexico is stupid but her, and she should be able to tell them what to do, I think.
Well, not everybody, but I'm beginning to find out majority of people in Albuquerque are stupid. What is their reading level? What is their test score? I mean, they could hardly.
Well, shout out to New Mexico Public Schools for making that happen.
Yeah, I was literally reading a list of the dumbest public schools to call in today, and New Mexico was on. There's all kinds of different lists because some people factor in like, oh, how much money do they give to their public schools? So that was making New Hampshire way down the list, when in reality, it's like if you don't factor in that, New Hampshire wasn't as
if you
bad.
Just look at like a standardized test score.
Yeah, just test scores. New Mexico was like on all of them for the bottom. New Mexico, West Virginia, Mississippi, just a lot of them were
Mississippi. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we were always neck and neck with Mississippi, Louisiana, and it was New Mexico. Now you throw in the West Virginia to the Appalachian people, those people that hate welfare because they think that they're going to be a millionaire soon. That was the logic. If you were to ask them, why do you vote against welfare? It's like, well, next month I'm going to be rich.
Actually, Richie Rich made a really good point about it. So Sarah said that she heard for some reason that people in West Virginia specifically, even though they're really, like, there's a lot of poor white people there, they're more likely to vote against welfare. Well, like, vote against, like, candidates who would be given a more welfare. And Richie Rich said, well, yeah, it's probably because those type of people are, like, in more Republican conservative state, are more likely to think, yeah, I may be poor now, but I can get money. I can work and make money. But while people who are in a more Democrat state who are poor, they vote for the welfare to just keep coming because they just think, like, I'm just poor and I'll always be poor. I could just get money from the state.
I know people who have anecdotal stories about their families from those areas. So they've always thought that way, that like, I don't want welfare. Whether or not it's because, I think I'm going to be rich. I think there's also a certain wisdom in it, in understanding that nothing's for free, and if they're giving it to you, there's some sort of condition, there's some cost that's going to be paid at some point in time.
It's not just like, one day I'll be stinking rich. But
well,
it's
no
like,
such thing as a free lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also, I didn't mean like, one day they'll all be stars. Everybody in West Virginia thinks that. I mean more, everybody realizes that, well, if I want the opportunity to get more money and not be poor one day, well, one day it could be in my pockets it's coming out of. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think both things are true, what you're saying as well.
But what you're saying is right. You remember that test score? There you go. West Virginia has the most dumbest people and lowest test scores. And if you're stupid, you vote against your own interests. There you have it.
I didn't say that, actually. I said, one thing that was interesting was West Virginia was one of the top states to have high completion of high school. So I don't know why that is, but it actually makes sense, and Colin pointed this out. If everybody's completing college or high school, that means that even the kids who were doing really bad at least completed, so their test scores go on to be bad.
No Child Left Behind. Oregon just got rid of having to prove you can read
Oregon was bad
English
on too, yeah,
or do any sort of math in order to graduate. You didn't have
racist.
You didn't have to prove you were capable. But Oregon's like one of the bluest states in the country, and they just decided that you don't have to read or write to graduate high school.
Yeah.
So I mean, are they educated, or are we just checking off a box saying they're educated?
Yeah, no child left behind, right?
Well, it just makes sense to keep the American public dumbed down as much as possible. There's a level of keep the television shows all stupid. The dumber you are, they could lie to you, and then you vote against your interests. You know what I mean? If the candidates are Democrats, they want to help you, they want to get you EBT, Medicare, and then you go out and vote against them, that's stupidity. But you're stupid.
I don't know that that's true. If you look at all of those welfare programs, is it against my interests if they take from the public $2, but they only give $1 back? I'm probably better, and society's probably better off all around if I don't. It's like short-sighted to receive that, and like it's short-sighted to have a whole entire community that receives that. And I mean, I think we saw that with people were coming to grips with that with the shutdown, where they weren't going to pay out the welfare stuff because people started looking into it. They said, wait, you're telling me that this whole entire family is 3 generations in and has been on a welfare program?
And look at the condition.
It's not good. I mean, if you get complacent and say, I'll just get this stuff and I'm not going to work, I mean, that makes your life worse than, thinking that you're going to have to work for stuff.
Well, I mean, do you think it's better that we just do away with welfare altogether if they're talking about how horrible it is? What do you think is going to happen if you stop social programs tomorrow?
Well, first off, there was a time when those things didn't exist. So it's not as if, without this, the whole world would just go to hell.
But Sarah, without these government welfare programs and without the government keeping us from being allowed to do things ourselves, things like churches and other charities could start to exist that do a better job than the government and vet people and don't just, oh, well, you don't want to do anything with your life and you have no disabilities. Well, we're just going to keep giving you money every single day. I'm not talking about you. I just mean in general, like a hypothetical. We're just going to keep giving you money every day and until you die. If we got rid of people like that getting welfare, everybody would be better off. If we got it to where you only got your necessities to get through the day and you had the ability to work and do better and pull yourself up, I do think society would be better. Yes, I think if welfare went away tomorrow, there would be chaos, but I think it just needs to be chaotic before it gets better.
The space would get filled. I mean, the government attacks churches for helping homeless people. Mm-hmm. Right? Churches would
they've arrested
people
for feeding
and housing
homeless,
them. Like people, pastors have opened their churches to the homeless to come sleep in the warmth and in our pews. And the government said, "No, church, you can't help the homeless people." So how is that? What's your response to that, Sarah? Like, if the government's so benevolent, why are they out here attacking churches for trying to help individuals and take some of the load off the government?
Well, I am kind of perplexed because, Bonnie's telling that the churches go help people. And then you're telling me that when the churches do help people, that the government will arrest them and put them in jail.
So they could if
the government is the problem in this situation then, because they're preventing people from getting access to help.
And the churches did do that before the government started making a monopoly on charity. And
well, think about it. You have a violent thing called the government. They take money from people at gunpoint. You have to pay your taxes. You don't have an option. And then if you say, I want to go help somebody, they say, oh, no, only I can help them. Right? And then, of course, they make the rules for who will and who won't be helped and which and what ways. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know how you can't understand that the government is a manipulative thing in this situation, and why you would want to have them do more welfare, and why you'd want them to be more in charge of that, why you would want them to, have any more money. I mean, like, what kind of person says, I want to help people, but I don't want anybody else to help them?
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of perplexing, but getting back to the Appalachian people, I have always thought the poor whites voted against food stamps and welfare because they thought more of the black people were taking that money than they got. That was my understanding. They're so angry that the colored people would be getting more of the welfare money, so they would vote against it.
No,
when
I really
reality,
don't think so.
I mean, that was my logic. It's racism.
It's more of like, why do I put my reliance on somebody who hates me? Why do I put my welfare in the hands of someone who hates me? The government doesn't look at you as a person. No, they look at you as a number and something that needs to be managed, but they don't see you as an individual. So why would they take your health and your security seriously if they don't even see you as a person?
We saw a video of a Appalachian man, that's how I got corrected, and that's how you're supposed to say it, who called 911 for fire department because a battery done blowed up in his house. That's what he said. And it started a fire. And he called them for help, but then he starts putting it out. And then when a cop, not a firefighter, shows up first, he beat the man up for refusing to stop going into his house to put out the fire.
Did he die?
He didn't
get
die.
Beat to death?
No,
I've heard stories of people getting shot for trying to go back into his house.
Maybe
or like trying to fight his own fire.
In this case, Sarah, is this funny?
This is hilarious.
So do you think a cop should kill you for trying to go back in to save your child from a burning house? That's like your fault, dude. You tried to save yourself.
So what happened? Did everything get hashed out? Did the misunderstanding?
I actually really want an update on that. But
I don't know who did what. I mean, what did wrong? But this whole shooting I'm very perplexed. I saw the videos. What was he doing? I don't think he was brandishing a gun. Why did he shoot the guy?
We're talking about
in Minneapolis. I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen the video of the nurse named Pretty. The guy whose last name is Pretty.
He
was. Okay. Well,
pretty good.
He was.
Yeah, I heard ICE was doing a pretty good job over in the Minneapolis.
Wow. Well, yeah, he was shot. And I didn't see the video yet. Sarah, you watched the video?
It was on the news. I think they had another guy down. He was at the elevator. He was trying to help the other guy, but I didn't see him brandishing a gun or anything like that. And then they had 6 guys trying to restrain him. I don't know why he had to shoot him dead. I mean, that's crazy.
I saw a highlighted video right before I got on, and it looked like I saw there was a gun in his waistband. I couldn't tell who grabbed it, but it had moved.
Weird.
But I did see like a.
Then again, who the heck knows with the AI videos?
Yeah, that's true. I had this article pulled up before the show, but we didn't get into it yet. This says Alex Pretty did not brandish gun. Witnesses say in sworn testimony. So.
Oh God. Oh well. Anyways, yeah. What a mess. I wonder if all the protests, how many more people are going to get killed like this? You know?
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's just unaccountable. That's the word I was looking for at the beginning of the show. Unaccountable bureaucrats, just like the people that some people rely on to give them their money for their survival for some reason, that are going masked in the streets, not actually accomplishing the objective. We are not seeing mass deportation. That's something that people should think to themselves. If you're pro-ICE in these situations, if all these probable psyops you're seeing, if you're on the side of ICE and all them, well, wasn't the objective to mass deport people who aren't supposed to be here, who are maybe like feeding off of the welfare system? If you're saying it's okay because of those things, which I see the argument, well, you can't really justify it because of that, considering they're not actually mass deporting.
You know, like the thing in Minneapolis, I mean, I'm sure at some point they'd have to go and like actually arrest people, but if they just cut off all of this fraud and all of the welfare that's going to all of those people, if they just did that, like they would have to and then they said, hey, here's your free plane ticket, come collect it whenever you're ready. Mm-hmm. That would take care of that. You know?
I mean, unless you're Somalian, like, what's better? No welfare in America or back to Somalia?
I don't know. It gets pretty cold I
mean, I don't like Minnesota. I'd never live there. Well, I've never been there, but I would never live there.
If you can't heat your place...
then you just get a job here. That's the thing. In Somalia, go live with some goats or something.
That's true, but the guy who's for mass deportations...
Thank you for the call, Sarah.
would argue, why can't I just go get that job? Right, if he wasn't brought here, then so the government's gonna bring him here, and then the government's gonna cut off the welfare to him too. Like, I mean, what are we doing to these people? We're gonna pay for.
I'm not saying they should keep coming, but I'm just saying, like, say they cut off the welfare tomorrow, I still think there'd be a big problem.
Well, yeah, they would just turn to crime.
Yeah, probably.
They would just start taking it from other people,
and that's why they're bioweapons.
They don't want to get jobs. They want to be on welfare.
Well, I think you're right. Not the people that risk their lives coming here from like Cuba on a boat necessarily.
Well, we're looking at a different wave of immigrants. This is a totally different kind of person
who probably never even had intentions to come here. Got approached by an NGO in their country, and we were told, "You want to go be shipped to America?" And they're like, "Yes." More Free Talk Live coming up. 603-283-6160. Call in with whatever's on your mind, like Sarah. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Free Talk Live.
It's obvious the government expects people to pay taxes, whether or not they have a law.
They are a band of marauders. They're a violent band of thugs, and in my opinion, they're a group of strangers. I mean, if I all of a sudden wrote up an invoice for you, Robert, and send it to your house saying, you owe Free Talk Live $5,000 this year, or if you don't pay us, we're going to send some people after you to punch your face in. Would you cut me a check? I mean, because that's essentially what they're doing. That's essentially what the IRS does. They write a bunch of strangers, people they don't know, an invoice, and they include a bunch of obscure instructions that you're supposed to understand. And then at the very bottom, it says, if you don't follow these instructions to the T, we are going to charge you with a criminal offense and throw you in the clink. This is a threat. And I don't take kindly to threats. I don't know about you.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern at freetalklive.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. The U.S., Ukraine, and Russia held three-way talks for the first time since fighting began 4 years ago, with the White House describing the discussions as productive. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said it is still too early to draw conclusions on whether the negotiations will lead to a breakthrough. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
Well, this is a very significant step on the path to peace. For the very first time, all three countries are sitting down together. There's been plenty of talks between the US and Russia, the US and Ukraine, but we haven't seen Ukraine and Russia communicating directly. And after nearly 4 years of conflict, there is some real hope that we might now see some momentum towards achieving some sort of peace deal. There are some major sticking points at play. We heard from the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, and he maintained that Russia's position is still about achieving total control of the Donbass region, including territory that Ukraine is still holding on to.
European leaders praised the U.S. decision to scrap proposed tariffs on 8 transatlantic partners. It came after President Trump announced that the framework of a future deal had been reached on Greenland. But much remains unknown about the plan and what it means for the future of the semi-autonomous Danish territory. FSN's William Denzelo reports from Brussels.
President Trump's tariff threat prompted European leaders to schedule an emergency meeting at the European Council. That meeting, scheduled for Thursday evening here in the Belgian capital, is going ahead, despite the threat of tariffs seemingly being off the table. President Trump said that discussions will continue to ensure the Arctic region is secure from perceived threats posed by Russia and China. Reporting from The Telegraph suggests the US could be given sovereignty over parts of the Arctic island to set up military bases, but officials across Europe maintain that such decisions must be made by Denmark and the people of Greenland.
Torrential rains killed more than 100 people across southern Africa, forcing mass evacuations and rescue operations. FSN's Isaac Lucando reports.
Weeks of heavy rainfall have battered parts of southern Africa, overwhelming rivers and infrastructure in South Africa, Mozambique and Zimbabwe, and cutting off entire communities. Weather services have issued further alerts, raising fears of more flooding. The U.S. Famine Early Warning System says flooding is expected in at least 7 countries, possibly linked to La Niña, which often brings heavier rains. In recent years, the region has faced repeated extreme weather, exposing fragile infrastructure.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN. TikTok announced that it has established a majority American-owned joint venture to operate its U.S. business, allowing the company to avoid a ban over its Chinese ownership. FSN's Laura Westbrook reports from Hong Kong.
TikTok says the majority American joint venture will implement strict safeguards for data protection, algorithm security, and content moderation for US users. According to reports, the agreement provides for American and global investors to hold 80.1% of the venture, while ByteDance will own 19.9%. Three investors, Silver Lake, Oracle, and Abu Dhabi-based AI investment fund MGX, each hold 15% stakes. It comes after a law passed in 2024 requiring that the US version of the app be spun off from its parent company ByteDance or be banned in the United States. US President Donald Trump repeatedly delayed enforcement of the law as he pursued a deal to transfer control of the popular app to American ownership.
Donald Trump's bid to control the U.S. central bank looks set to be rejected by the Supreme Court. During arguments on Wednesday, justices from across the ideological spectrum appeared concerned that the president's efforts to fire one of the Federal Reserve's leaders could imperil its independence. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
The justices questioned whether the unproven allegations against Lisa Cook that she engaged in mortgage fraud before taking office were serious enough to allow the president to fire her. It comes as the administration has escalated its attacks on the Fed in a bid to get it to lower interest rates, including launching a criminal investigation into Fed Chair Jerome Powell over whether he lied to Congress about cost overruns related to the renovations of the Fed's headquarters. He's pushed back, saying the charges were politically motivated. The Supreme Court's ruling could determine whether the Fed will maintain its long history of political independence.
That was a look back at some of the week's top stories. Ira Spitzer.
A new teen trend of walking wet and nude couldn't have caught on at a worse time, and a taxpayer is outraged. And lo, the Lord said unto the Israelites, look unto the heavens, and you shall see a news review program to rival the greatest wonders of the earth. This is the Onion Week in Review. As a front of dense frigid air and snow showers brought sub-zero temperatures to much of the country this week, Canton, Ohio residents noted that the blanketing of snow they had received created the illusion that their town was not a total shithole. Residents added that unlike its typical depressing reality, the snow-cloaked town actually looked halfway livable.
Canton is usually a miserable little dump, but you know when that first snow fell and covered everything in a layer of white powder? For about 5 minutes it was like not everything I saw depressed the living out of me.
Reports from locals also confirmed that for a brief period the streets, parks, and buildings around them gave the surprising impression of not being a run-down, heartbreaking excuse for a hometown.
This is the Onion News Network.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. And are you tired of the oppressive rules and moderation of the big tech social media sites? I know I've been getting, blacklisted for real. Something like shadow banned, something's going on with mine. It's like every single one of my tweets get 40 views all of a sudden. Every single one of my tweets get 2 likes. It's out of nowhere and I have 3,000 followers. It's like I organically build up 3,000 followers and suddenly engagement just destroyed.
I know. Have you talked to Twitter?
Yes, tried to, but they make it extremely hard. And they just say things like, if you don't like your engagement, try posting more often. Post things that resonate with your audience. I've been doing that and it's been fine. And then out of nowhere, this happens. And actually got this little alert that said I was being throttled temporarily while they check out some things on my account. The next morning it said, okay, your review's over and you're good. And it never went back to normal. So, and I haven't posted anything more controversial than I've always been posting. So I don't understand. But anyways. Yep, if you're tired of the oppressive rules and moderation of the big tech social media sites, our Mastodon server at social.freetalklive.com can set you free. Mastodon is free, open source, decentralized, and federated. Multiple apps are available for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, and Linux. Social.freetalklive.com. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Angelo.
And Alex Jones.
Uh-oh, we have Alex Jones tonight. Alex Jones, are these crisis actors?
Everything's totally manufactured, just like Sandy Hook. I'm not supposed to say the lawyers told me not to.
Oh, yeah, Sandy Hook totally happened, real people.
Yeah, real, absolutely, Joe. Absolutely, it really happened.
Really happened, Joe. So
that's like scary. I'm almost speechless, dude. That's like if I just close my eyes, it's Alex Jones talking.
I'm starting to think I'm gonna have to eat my neighbors.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yep, that's like a 1-for-1, dude. That's like, if I could give you a gold star, I'd hand you one right now because I'm impressed.
Give him a gold back.
I don't have one.
It says this from the Wall Street Journal. Hawaii tries to evade the Second Amendment. The Supreme Court should strike down a law that effectively bans firearms on most private property. Whoa.
Where's the outrage for the government disregarding the Constitution? Why aren't they marching in Hawaii for this obvious attack on liberty?
They seem like a weird bunch. I've never been to Hawaii. Have you?
No.
Neither. Have you?
Yeah, no. Nor Alaska.
I've asked.
I've been pretty much every state except those two.
I've tried to ask Richie Rich things now and then to be like, what do they think about like independence? And apparently they do have like a strong independence movement down there. Well, maybe not super strong, but like lots of people are like, yeah, we should be independent. But it's always in the thought process of like, because they were invaded and like taken as a state, well, territory first in the state. And they used to have their own like royalty and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know, they're just a weird bunch down there. I feel like they have their own like independent streak but somehow just still want to be like told what to do by the state. It's weird, like weird stuff.
Well, that's because they were the tribe. It was a tribe. So like you gave up your.
Was it just one tribe? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure like there was like a king of the Hawaiian, like of the main island.
And they had queens there too, I remember.
There might have been a couple tribes, but I'm pretty sure there was like there was one king. There was a king of the big island. But they were that's still like a tribe. That's a collectivist society. So
even if there's like more than one tribe, they're all tribal societies.
Yeah, they're all tribally inclined. And I mean, for the past they've only been America for 50 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
remember.
Right,
it was like right after World War II.
Like 51, maybe?
Like 1951, so like 60 years. So we've...
No, sorry. Was it 59?
Hawaii was the 50th in 59, yeah.
59,
August,
yeah. Sorry, I don't know why 51 at first.
Yeah, 1959. So, I mean, that's... these people have been away from their tribal...
Alaska was also 59, but
their
it was
tribal,
January.
their tribal mental... Like, they're not that far removed...
Yeah, that's a good
point.
Culturally from that
one
way
thing,
of
though,
thinking.
is Hawaii has been, I mean, even back in like 1959, is completely demographically different. There's huge waves of Asian
there's a lot of Japanese people that live in Hawaii.
And they were a territory first, correct? They were American territory, and then they became...
Well, I mean, it became a territory when it was taken over.
I thought they were like a territory for a while, and then
they when did we build Pearl? What year did we put a Navy base there?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Either way, I want to know what this is all about, them saying that they're going to make it to where you can't have a gun on your own private property in Hawaii. I think it's just, honestly, it's leftism. That's what it all probably comes down to.
Yeah. Well, that's why the case has gone all the way up to the Supreme Court. I haven't looked...
It just says the Supreme Court should. It hasn't said that
they've had arguments on it, hearings, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but I haven't looked into it very deeply.
I would be shocked if this Supreme Court...
Do you know much about this?
Did it? Well, I just think... I know that the Supreme Court has struck down a lot of... anti-gun stuff very recently. It feels like even there was one the other day that it was like an 8-1 almost. It was almost like shocking that so many of them had agreed on protecting... I can't remember what the case was, but it was a big win for gun owners. But it was like an 8-1 decision, and it was like, wow, I didn't think they were going to be that pro-gun.
Yeah, there was this thing in like 2021 and 2022 where a whole bunch of pro-gun decisions came out all of a sudden from the Supreme Court. I don't really know how things like that happen. Like, I always assume like every single thing is controlled, and why would they want us to have guns? I don't know.
Well, but I think
surprising.
If Alex was actually here, He'd say it's so that we get into an actual fight with each other, and then they can bring in the blue helmets and.
And also maybe they have to have at least one country where guns are legal, so they can move guns where they want them.
Yeah, that's true. They need one where they can still get it from here to Iran.
Mm-hmm. So let's see what they have to say about this at the Wall Street Journal. Blue state gun laws are back before the Supreme Court. Oh, so it is currently before it. The justices barred states in 2022, it was, from requiring concealed handgun permit applicants to demonstrate a need for the license. Rather than comply with the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, that's what it was, in good faith, Hawaii and 4 other states sharply restricted where concealed carry is allowed. So they're currently out of compliance. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah, now I'm remembering a little bit more, but I still don't fully know everything. It was something where they were saying that it was a question about what rights you have to conceal carry when on private property.
Bruin, the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin was?
No. I'm talking about the Hawaii one. And in some way, it almost seemed like the state was somehow overstepping and saying, oh, yeah, that's it. They're saying you cannot carry it on private property unless you completely have the consent of the person who owns the property, is what they were saying.
I mean, that property rights over self-defense.
Well, yeah, but the question is, affirmatively, have you been given that right?
Usually,
versus
you rent
are you
from someone and they're not asking
Yeah.
if you have a gun, or maybe if they have it in their contract, hey, I personally don't rent to people who have guns, but that's probably rare.
Yeah. I did hear. This is funny. So I know. I have a very small window into what's happening with this case. I haven't looked into all the details, but there were the arguments that were given. I listened to a little bit of that, and they were saying, oh well, at the time of the founding fathers, it wasn't the case that, you would carry the gun with you everywhere and go anywhere. So the idea that, you would need to, before you went into each and every tavern, need to say, hey, can I bring this in here? No, you just brought it in. And then maybe if somebody said, hey, I don't want you here because of that, leave, then the private property right kicks in.
Well, a lot of bars, it's that trope in Western movies. They get to the saloon and they go, check your guns at the door. We don't allow you to carry your gun inside the bar. And then you'd go to, it's almost like a coat check, and you'd give your guns to a guy and he'd put them in a lockbox. And then when you went to leave,
they would get in fights.
So Wild West. You want a bunch of drunk cowboys with their guns? They're just gonna,
Still all adds up with what he's saying. Yeah.
But that was the owner of the establishment instituting a rule that if you wanted to drink here, you had to check your gun at the door. That was his policy.
Yep, that all adds up.
So I don't know specifically, because I have a feeling that. Because what we all kind of, I think, have just mostly agreed here. It's if they tell you you can't have it, then you can't, because it's a private property right.
Not to go
but
to that
but
bar.
I think maybe, and this is me speculating, I think maybe the Hawaii thing is really ridiculous, where it's if you don't first go and get permission from the private property owner, and then you go onto the property, you will be committing a felony.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is, even if the property owner might say yes, you have to have already got.
Let's just read the article.
It might be in there. Okay, yeah.
I think that sounds like what it is. So let's see. It says Hawaii's statute flips the traditional concealed carry rule on private property open to the public, such as grocery stores, restaurants, malls, and gasoline stations. I don't know why it says that. Instead of allowing permit holders to carry unless a private property owner objects, the law imposes a default ban on carrying unless the owner consents to firearms being brought on his property. That's so weird. There's some actual, this is a Wall Street Journal article, and there are typos and stuff. That's weird.
That just shows the level of this was probably written by an AI.
For one thing, though, maybe AI, but this is a thing I see a lot with humans, where they will put an apostrophe S, which is possessive, but they mean to make something plural, and that's what they did with firearms there. That's weird. Don't cuss. We're on the radio.
I didn't curse.
No, you got close to it, I thought. But maybe you weren't going to.
Shucks.
Sugar. Anyways.
Sheboygan.
Wow. Anyways, instead... Okay, yeah, we already read that. The 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the law, pointing to a national tradition of banning firearms on private property without the owner's oral or written consent. That's not a national tradition. I've never heard that, you can't go in a grocery store without their written consent.
It's in California, right?
Yeah, it's the most overturned circuit in the country.
That's
it's just
insane.
a bunch of activists out there.
It's activist judges for sure.
Which, in a way, is kind of good because if you get two circuits having disagreed rulings, then it gets kicked up to the Supreme Court. So it's like kind of good that they're always like saying the most retarded wrong thing all the time.
Shout out those stupid white people in the southern states for keeping their circuit courts
stupid Appalachians who don't know their own good, what's good for them, like Sarah does, of course. Or being
Sarah would say
facetious.
that they should just give up their guns. Why do you need it? The cops are here to protect you.
So obvious. Why don't we have cameras on every single stretch of road? It's so obvious. Anyways,
if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to hide.
Sorry.
Well, but so maybe you'll get to this in the article. I don't know. And again, I'm like kind of like not 100% certain, but I mean, think about how ridiculous it is, because I think what they're saying is you're committing a crime, but there doesn't have to be a complaining party. So it's not even like you went onto the property without getting permission, and then the homeowner or property owner said you should have gotten it, and then they call the cops. I think it's like the police show up on a private property, somehow search you or whatever. They're like, you have this here? Did you get permission?
Written consent from the owner of this Walmart?
Yeah, exactly.
That's insane.
And the big corporations, they're going to side.
Walmart says no anyway.
Well, yeah, they're going to say no.
But the thing is, I think Walmart already like openly says no everywhere. So like that's not a good example.
I mean, I'm thinking about gas stations. Like, and what happens when insurance ties it?
Yep.
Oh, we're not going to insure you because you allow firearm owners to have the firearms on the property, and then now that becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So we're not going to insure you, and now this business is shut down.
Slight tangent, but something that should be talked about at some point in the future is how these insurance companies are being run by these whack jobs, and they're now coming up with all of these rulings as a way to force the stuff and be like, oh, we're not doing it through the government. We're just, it's private agreements,
ESGs.
Yeah.
And now, but you're forced to have the insurance by the government.
By the government, yeah.
Yep. Well, it says that approach that's saying that it's banned on private property unless you have written or oral consent, that approach has no historical foundation. And they said it's a national tradition. I'm like, that's not true. Neither in 1791, when the Second Amendment was adopted. That seems late. Wow.
The ratification of the Constitution.
No, not even year? Then. The Bill of Rights wasn't signed into until later.
Wasn't it like
when was
only like a couple, like 87?
Shoot, I forget.
88, because we did the Articles of Confederation first, so we had to scrap all that. Had the Whiskey Rebellion, like that. Those things take time. I think it's like 1788, 1789.
Yep, 1788 was when the Constitution was ratified.
So 2 years later, they added the Bill of Rights.
I guess it's not that then, it's 3 years later. I don't know why. It just seemed really late all of a sudden. I knew it wasn't in 1776, but 12 years later is a lot.
Well, for somebody as young as you.
We formed an entire government in that time, and then dissolved it, and then rebuilt a new one.
Yep. So it says that approach that they're saying it was a national tradition has no historical foundation, neither in 1791 when the Second Amendment was adopted, nor in 1868 when the 14th Amendment applied it to the states where their laws broadly were their laws neither then nor then were their laws broadly barring people who could legally carry firearms from ordinary businesses. Nevertheless, Hawaii's Attorney General argues the law preserves a historical tradition in which concealed weapons were not commonly carried in public. Wow. Wow.
No, because you didn't have to conceal them back in the day. Everybody just had one.
It just says that it was common
that's
for
true
them.
too.
Like or like a knife. Like I mean, what does this extend to? If your knife is too long and you're sitting at a gas station and it's sitting in your pocket, are you going to get pulled up on and charged with having a concealed weapon on somebody's property without oral or written consent?
All I know is this probably all has something to do with like Oprah and all that fire stuff, and they're like, you can't carry a gun on this land that we just took from you.
What?
I'm making a conspiracy
Oprah,
theory joke.
Took a bunch of land in Hawaii.
Yeah. After the fire, like her and a bunch of other celebrities with billionaires.
Cheap land to go buy.
Yeah, actually, there is a tradition of keeping people from owning firearms on Indian reservations. Right?
Wow.
There was a bit, it was technically their land, but they weren't allowed to own any firearms or bring firearms on it without the express consent or permission of the United States federal government.
It says Hawaii defends its law on public safety grounds, but those claims collapse under scrutiny. Attorneys general for 17 states and the District of Columbia assert in a friend of the court brief that many major retailers generally prohibit firearms in their stores, but some stores the brief mentions, such as Walmart, like I said, Walgreens and Kroger, reference open, not concealed carry in their store policies. Oh, I didn't know that. I always thought like you couldn't bring a gun in Walmart.
Well, how are they going to know unless they pat you down? If you're concealed carrying.
But then it's like, oh, well, if we are found that you concealed carry in here, you're in trouble.
Well, they could probably tell you to leave if they found out you had a gun. They could be like, because then at that point, if they see it, then it's open.
Yeah.
I found out. So like if we don't know, it won't hurt us, but don't let us see it or we're going to have to ask you to leave.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I just figured no guns, period, but interesting. The public health research cited in briefs supporting Hawaii's law is similarly flawed. A brief filed by 2 gun control advocacy groups cites data from Philadelphia stating that people in possession of a gun are more than 4 times as likely to be shot in an assault. But the data lumped together law-abiding concealed carry permit holders and criminals or gang members carrying illegally. That would definitely change the numbers. Like if you're in a gang
if your
shootout.
lifestyle is gunfights, you probably get into more gunfights.
Yep.
I mean, that's just that would make sense to me if, and the only reason they get into gunfights is because they have to operate their businesses outside the scope of the government. Right? Because they can't, like, if you get stolen from, you can't call the cops.
Yeah.
Hey, they just stole my stash. Now I'm out of money.
Yep.
You have to go retaliate with your own firearm.
Mm-hmm. It's a really good point. Americans use guns defensively roughly 1.7 million times each year. Wow. While less than 0.2% of adults in Hawaii hold concealed carry permits, nationwide there are approximately 21 million permit holders. Outside California and New York, more than 9% of adults have a permit, and more carry concealed weapons in constitutional carry states.
Yeah, like that,
where no permits required.
Yeah, well, the permit numbers don't even mean anything now. Mm-hmm. Half the country, you don't even have to. Over half. You don't even need a permit anymore. Why would I tell the government I have a gun?
Yeah.
So those numbers, especially now that they were high even before they got rid of the permits, like, why would I tell you I'm concealed carrying or even ask permission? That kind of defeats the whole point of me having the thing on me.
Yeah. I agree. I didn't go get a permit or anything, but I also figured I wanted to put it on like Twitter and such because it's like, I think it's like benefits me personally as a single woman to like people know I have a gun. So,
there's just a deterrent in.
Yeah.
Like how many of these 1.7 million times did nobody get shot?
What do you mean?
Like, you said that gun owners use their guns 1.7 million times defensively. Sometimes just pulling it would be considered a defensive action.
Yep, I've witnessed that.
Because you can get arrested for pulling it because that's considered an aggressive action. Mm-hmm. Like if it's not needed, mm-hmm. But so you could just having it can sometimes save your life.
Mm-hmm. It's true. That's what I love about New Hampshire. That you're not in danger of getting in trouble if you pull a gun on someone who's literally threatening harm against you, and you deter them and they go away. Permit holders are extremely law-abiding. In Florida and Texas, the share who lose their permits a year for firearm-related violations is measured in thousandths or tens of thousandths of a percentage point. Police rarely commit firearms crimes, but concealed handgun permit holders are even more law-abiding than police. Oh, really? Maybe if we were actually talking about natural law, I'm sure the numbers would be even more.
Well, yeah. How do they determine if a police officer's
law-abiding? Well, they
no didn't it say has used their gun in a incorrect way or whatever?
Well, yeah, like made a gun-related crime. Did a gun-related crime.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they don't call it a gun-related crime with the officer.
That's what I'm saying. If we're talking natural law. According to an analysis by the because murder is murder when you do it, but it's killing when a cop does it, and it's legal and it's not a crime. According to an analysis by the Crime Prevention Research Center, those with permits in the same two states are only 1/12 as likely as police officers to be convicted of firearms offenses. Wow. And the thing we always point out in libertarian circles, especially like gun libertarian circles, which I wouldn't exactly consider myself that, but I've heard the talks, is military people who love to say like civilians shouldn't have AR-15, whatever. They are often much less trained than the average American gun owner who just has a gun owner because they want to defend themselves. Like policemen and military guys, they think like, oh, we're like highly trained.
They're not trained. They get enough shooting time to pass the qualification test, and if they're not infantry, they're not going to touch a gun again.
Yep. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't be afraid to call in and bring up whatever's on your mind. I'm only mean to Skeeter. More Free Talk Live.
Don't leave me.
More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless Crime Spree.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. The U.S., Ukraine, and Russia held three-way talks for the first time since fighting began 4 years ago, with the White House describing the discussions as productive. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said it is still too early to draw conclusions on whether the negotiations will lead to a breakthrough. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
Well, this is a very significant step on the path to peace. For the very first time, all three countries are sitting down together. There's been plenty of talks between the US and Russia, the US and Ukraine, but we haven't seen Ukraine and Russia communicating directly. And after nearly 4 years of conflict, there is some real hope that we might now see some momentum towards achieving some sort of peace deal. There are some major sticking points at play. We heard from the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, and he maintained that Russia's position is still about achieving total control of the Donbass region, including territory that Ukraine is still holding on to.
European leaders praised the U.S. decision to scrap proposed tariffs on 8 transatlantic partners. It came after President Trump announced that the framework of a future deal had been reached on Greenland. But much remains unknown about the plan and what it means for the future of the semi-autonomous Danish territory. FSN's William Denzelo reports from Brussels.
President Trump's tariff threat prompted European leaders to schedule an emergency meeting at the European Council. That meeting, scheduled for Thursday evening here in the Belgian capital, is going ahead, despite the threat of tariffs seemingly being off the table. President Trump said that discussions will continue to ensure the Arctic region is secure from perceived threats posed by Russia and China. Reporting from The Telegraph suggests the US could be given sovereignty over parts of the Arctic island to set up military bases, but officials across Europe maintain that such decisions must be made by Denmark and the people of Greenland. William Denslow, Brussels.
Torrential rains killed more than 100 people across southern Africa, forcing mass evacuations and rescue operations. FSN's Isaac Lucando reports.
Weeks of heavy rainfall have battered parts of southern Africa, overwhelming rivers and infrastructure in South Africa, Mozambique and Zimbabwe, and cutting off entire communities. Weather services have issued further alerts, raising fears of more flooding. The U.S. Famine Early Warning System says flooding is expected in at least 7 countries, possibly linked to La Niña, which often brings heavier rains. In recent years, the region has faced repeated extreme weather, exposing fragile infrastructure. Isaac Lucando, Dar es Salaam.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is...
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 is the phone number that you can call to get in on the conversation with us, bring up whatever's on your mind. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
Angelo.
I think I'm still here. Colin.
And we were talking last segment about this new horrible law from Florida, Florida. I meant Hawaii. Florida did this like lame duck concealed carry. Remember that?
Well, what they did was they made permitless concealed carry legal. So you can carry concealed anywhere in Florida, but you can only open carry if you're in the you're actively hunting or fishing. So people just started walking around with ARs and fishing poles.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's lame. But anyways, I meant actually Hawaii. Hawaii came up with this new law where they're going to say that you can't go into any businesses unless you get written or oral consent before going in with a concealed carry weapon.
And what does that mean? Does the manager have the ability to give you oral consent? Or does it have to be
That's why I was like, what about something like a Walmart? Let's say Walmart didn't have their policy already. Like, I know that there are franchise owners, but even then it's like the franchise owner
I don't think Walmart franchises.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Let's say it's McDonald's. A franchise owner might not even live in your state. Like, they might just own a McDonald's.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, that is all interesting and weird, and I hope that the Supreme Court does the right thing that the Ninth Circuit didn't do. When the Ninth Circuit said, it's American tradition to not allow concealed carry in anywhere without
Don't you just love how these people just make stuff up like that?
Why? I mean, legal land is fiction land. It's crazy land. It's Wonderland. It absolutely is whatever they want. And it's usually opposites. Up is down and left is right.
Well, that's part of the whole, it's the doublespeak. It's the doublespeak to keep lay people confused as to what to do. So whenever they make a decision, the government can decide whether or not to enforce the doublespeak laws.
Well, let me say this. What a lot of times would have happened in the past is they would have had that same ruling, and they would have just said something like, public safety issues override, gun rights issues in this particular case. That's the kind of thing they would have just said. So I think it's, like I said, they're literally purposefully like lying and saying that is what I think.
Well, that's all interesting to me. And I hope that the Supreme Court does the right thing. They have been kind of pro Second Amendment in the last few years, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how they could rule any other way on this. I mean, they asked the questions to the people. I did hear some of the oral arguments, and one of the justices even just flat out asked, "What do you think the purpose of the Second Amendment was for?" to the person who's arguing for it.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't see how they could come and rule any other way.
Well, this other article I really wanted to get into, and you can, of course, call 603-283-6160 to bring up whatever's on your mind, but this from the Wall Street Journal, the $0 day. Small Minneapolis businesses ride out the ice surge. And it makes me really sad because I know a small business owner here, and there's like certain situations that happen throughout the year that cause them to have to just like close down for a day, and it's just like, it's not good. Mm-hmm. It can be devastating. And like recently, like the sidewalk in front of the business was being worked on by the city for many months more than it was supposed to be. Things like that can cause you to have to either close down or sit out there wasting money sitting there not having people come in. But anyways, This says Joe Martino, a 52-year-old merchant mariner. What's a mariner?
Merchant mariner.
What's merchant mariner?
They're just they move. They're like logistics people for shipping.
Okay.
So he probably works off like how close are the Great Lakes to Minneapolis? That's a whole state over, isn't it?
Minneapolis?
Or is Minnesota connected to
Minneapolis is in the center of the state.
No, the Great Lakes are on the other side of Michigan. There's Michigan in the way.
Oh, okay.
And,
so I don't
Wisconsin,
know.
I think.
Maybe he works on the river system?
No.
Wait, what do you mean? So
Minneapolis
Mariner specifically has to do with like the sea, or I mean the waters. Yeah, unless this top one is a Great Lake, I'm not sure. I'm looking at.
What do you mean the top one, Lake Superior?
Like you know how Minnesota has like a kind of point this way. At the top of it has a point to the east. Well, is that underneath that a lake, or is that Canada? Because it's not showing me. Oh no, it is a Great Lake, so it does touch one Great Lake. Stop! Wait, you didn't know either.
No, you're confusing me. You're making me second guess things that I just know. But Minneapolis is like kind of in the center of the state. It's not on the coast. Like Green Bay is on the coast.
Yeah, but if he's a merchant mariner, he probably works on like shipping for like
Does
boats.
It have to do with the water, or is it just a word for people who like drive around and bring you? I don't actually, it's not relevant to the. I thought it might be, but no, it's actually not relevant. It says Joe Martino, a 52-year-old merchant mariner, braved swirling snow and biting winds on a recent afternoon as he walked up and down Lake Street in Minneapolis in search of tacos. A 2-block stretch that normally boasts at least 3 Mexican eateries. The only tacos to be had were at Taco Bell. That's actually really sad. This is a sad story. I'm not even trying to be funny. Martino hiked 2 more blocks before grabbing a water and leaving a $20 tip at a Mexican restaurant and bar that was open but not serving food. Across the street, he finally found a spot with an open kitchen. What the hell is going on? He muttered to a passing reporter as he tried one of the locked doors, though he later acknowledged that he had a pretty good idea. They're scared to come out. They're scared that if they go to work, whatever their immigration status, they'll be detained.
So wait, he's complaining that the Taco Bell didn't have any immigrants to give him Taco Bell?
No, the Taco Bell was the only one open.
Oh, okay.
That all the ones that are like holes in the wall and better Mexican food, most likely, were closed for the day. And he's like, "What the hell's going on?" A reporter sees this and he says, "This is what's been going on. I've been walking 3 blocks for tacos now, and no one's open in the middle of the work week. It's crazy." So it says.
By the way, little thing. Could you imagine an article like this being written during COVID?
Oh yeah,
that's just think about that.
Point,
and he walked down the streets, and all of the businesses were closed, and he tried to enter each one of them. Yeah, what's going on here? And but even just the news media acknowledging that and being like, "Oh, how many businesses are being destroyed by this totally stupid policy?"
Right. That's such a great point. And it's sad now. It's sad then.
Yeah.
That's called having principles. We have a caller on the line, so let's go to the phones. It's David in New Mexico. David in New Mexico, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just called to order tacos.
You can't get a good taco in New Mexico anywhere?
No, there's no good tacos in New Mexico.
Are the people there that stupid, even though you can't make their own food? No, that's a joke. It's just we're calling back to Sarah. Yeah, she was saying that today.
Mexicans are so stupid they can't even make a good taco.
Oh, my God. So mean.
Is this the Collins show that
you control?
Cool. Well, I'm already doing it. I didn't ask permission in advance, so I'm glad I checked after the fact. I had a stupid Mexican attack me the other day. Actually, he had a foreign accent other than Mexico, unless he was from Mexico City. He sounded like he was a Cuban, but he attacked me. Where I literally could have shot the dude, and I got the video to prove it. I got like the chest cam kind of video. It was my phone in my hand, but I got him running at me and raising his fist as he was about to punch me.
Whoa!
And I could have shoot no shoot. I could have shot.
Whoa!
Well,
why that happened?
Because he was insulting the guy's tacos.
No, I was insulting his girlfriend's taco.
Uh-oh. ridiculous.
But his girlfriend, well, actually, his girlfriend was just a bitch. I didn't see an actual woman there. Yeah, well, his buddy had a girlfriend that was probably a bitch, and she was there. But the dude that was going to punch me, he just had a dog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did he stop? Did he not punch you?
Yeah, he thought better of it at the last second, apparently, but he still ended up.
Well, did you
brandish again?
Yeah, did you show him that you were willing to give him some extra ventilation, or?
No, I did not.
Well, good for that guy for coming to his senses before things got ugly.
Yeah, well, yeah. Another thing he did.
Sounds not stupid.
Pardon?
Sounds like he's not stupid. Sounds like maybe.
No, he's a very, very, very stupid.
Yeah, and then flying off the wall about to punch somebody as an adult, I guess that is stupid too.
Yeah. So anyway, what I was filming him, and then it got to the point where it was appropriate that I dial 911, not necessarily because I needed help, but that's what you do when you're under attack. So I had to stop recording with that phone anyway, in order to dial 911. And so I got the 911 dispatcher on the phone. And while I'm holding the phone in my hand, talking to the 911 dispatcher, he punches my hand, my phone, so hard that my phone literally flew 60 feet away.
Whoa.
60 feet. And,
wow.
and when he punched it, I had no idea where it went. But so I looked left and I looked right, and the hang time on the phone was so long that after I looked left and then I looked right, I caught a flash of white as it hit the ground 60 feet away.
Whoa.
That's actually another crime. So if you interfere with somebody's calling emergency services and you interfere with that communication, that's another crime. But anyway, the cops looked at the video and they said that if you want to press charges, we'll take it to the DA and see what the DA says. But if they're willing to do anything about it, the worst he's going to get is misdemeanor conviction on assault, battery, whatever. And that unless he has priors, he'll get like 6 months probation.
Oh, I was going to ask, does New Mexico have any like 3 strikes or anything like that?
No.
Well, would it have to be like a felony conviction, wouldn't it? Misdemeanors don't count towards your 3 strikes.
Oh, okay. You can get 3 felonies? Wow.
Yeah, no. New Mexico gives you 16 DUIs anyway. So why would they have 3 strikes?
Oh, whoa! I'm gonna move there. No, I'm just kidding.
Ridiculous.
So, there was something else I was going to tell you about. Oh, so anyway, probably the best thing to do would be. I don't know if this guy's I think he's probably or he could be an illegal. And so that would be the best revenge, is to get him booted out of the country.
Well, are the cops where you live still like not answering your calls, not doing anything you ask? I remember
they do more of it than they used to. I just kept after them, and all of the problems that basically all of the problems that I'd been complaining about for all of that time, basically they've all stopped one by one, and they didn't stop because the people just decided to stop. So obviously they stopped because the cops finally did something about it, apparently.
Interesting. That's a weird turn of events. Well, thank you for the call, David. We do have another caller on the line. It looks like an unscreened caller. And let's go see what they have on their mind. What's on your mind, unscreened caller?
Not a whole lot. I was calling in to say what's up. It's actually it's Dylan, the one who's doing the Twitter stuff.
Oh, I saw the name pop up, and I thought that your last name was the same one. So what's on your mind?
Just a lot of the recent stuff lately going on in the news. A lot of the ICE shootings. It can really start to get, really make you feel amped up, And I think it's really important to localize yourself and realize everything that's happening in the world doesn't necessarily have to take up all of your emotion at all times, you know? I don't think humanity was meant to take in as much information as we're taking in at the current time. There's so much world news, and we used to be cavemen that just hung out with each other, and now it's like, oh, this thing happened across the world. Here's another thing that's happening across the world, and this is in a different state, and you need to be mad about this and that.
I completely disagree. I don't know how you could just stick your head in the sand while Putin is doing what he's doing in the Ukraine.
Oh my God. He's joking. I think we all agree on this, because I and lots of people I know have had the same exact experience as me. I found out about police brutality because like cops did me wrong, and I find out on the on the internet, wait, police actually are killing people left and right. And then you get in this stage where you're just watching cop block videos and things like that all the time. And one day you're like, wait a second, actually this is like bad for me. I know the truth about it now. I can't just focus on it constantly. It's like, it's not good for you. I agree. It's depressing.
Yeah, I think it's really important to ground yourself. And because, I mean, it's very easy to, like you said, get in the rabbit hole, especially on something like TikTok, of police beating people up, or watching videos of the First Amendment auditors and being like, man, I really don't like what those cops are saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's no shortage of content out there like that. And then you put down the phone and you go to the grocery store and everyone's all nice. And it's like, that's not all happening at you right now. I mean, this is probably the most, peaceful point in history where everyone's cooperating in ways that are sort of unprecedented. But we have such access to news at all times that it can be really easy to delude yourself into thinking that the world is so much worse than it actually is, especially with all these new algorithms and stuff with social media, you know. And I'm one to talk because, of course, I take advantage of that. And that's one of the things when I talk to people, it's kind of tongue in cheek. It's like, unfortunately, one of my professional skills is Twitter, because it's probably one of the worst platforms that exists today when it comes to your own mental health.
Yeah, I kind of got forced off a little bit, because I think I was telling you, maybe I was telling someone else, that I've been like, I'm clearly shadow banned or something weird like that's going on, and it's just like I post and no one sees it. So I posted a lot less recently, and I started reading.
I know exactly what that's like. I mean, I'm getting no responses on Tinder or, Plenty of Fish, and it's not me. My profile is excellent.
Oh my gosh, it's seriously something happened. It's like night and day. My like responses and people even viewing my tweets went to like zero. But actually, Dylan does the Free Talk Live Twitter right now, so you should definitely go follow and support him, and also follow him. Well, do you want to tell your Twitter on here?
Sure. Well, my Twitter is Dylan Allman. I guess it's Dylan M. Allman. M is my middle initial, which is also my father's name, which is the name you saw on the caller ID.
Oh, okay.
But, I wish I could just have Dylan Allman as the handle, but of course, that's taken by someone that hasn't tweeted in 15 years.
Oh, that's really lame.
Twitter has this, or X has this new feature where it's like, hey, if you subscribe to Premium Plus, then you can request an unused handle and we'll give it to you.
Yeah, I saw
Problem is, Premium Plus costs like $50 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And also, once you request and get that handle, you have to consistently subscribe to that Premium Plus. And if it expires, you have to give the handle back. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'll keep the M in my name.
What happens when you have to subscribe? Like, eventually there's going to be so many users that you can't even like use your own name. But if you're using it for like your business, how are you going to, like, are you going to have to subscribe to use your own name? You're going to subscribe to your likeness on Twitter?
Yeah, basically. I feel like they probably just give the celebrities theirs anyway.
I bet they buy them.
Or you have to put something like official in the name, and then you're fine.
No, I bet I bet the celebrities buy them from Twitter. They probably, if they're not doing it now, they're going to buy usernames for sure. They buy views, they buy comments.
Yeah, and they can afford it. So, but the more important part, I think, of what he was calling about, I gotta put my 2 cents in about part of that. It's like it makes you feel really lonely and like desperate and black-pilled whenever you live in a place, in my opinion, like, well, where I used to live was San Antonio, Texas, and you know what's going on in the world, you know what kind of ideas would make the world better, and you look around, and even if people smile at you in the grocery store, it's kind of hollow because you know that they would vote to kill you if it got them an extra $20 on their
or they would
cards.
Help support dragging you out of the place for not wearing a mask or whatever. Yeah.
So
I hate to keep going back to this COVID thing. That's like the most significant thing that's happened in this country in years, and people are just blowing past it.
The antidote to that feeling for me was moving to New Hampshire and actually having a community of people that think like me. It's like, yeah, we don't always get along. In fact, there are parts of the community that live here that are like not my friends, and then like, people that I just haven't even met and stuff like that. But the fact that I have any amount of like people over on like New Year's Eve that can come over to my house and hang out and have a fire. We don't talk about like being libertarians. We just already know we all agree on the most important questions of your life, like when is violence justified? That was the antidote to me, because when I lived in Utah, that's when I first started watching cop block videos, which is like the equivalent, because, cops are killing people on ice, and you can watch that and get really angry. So I'd watch that in Utah, and I lived in a tiny government town, and, it was a military base, but anyways, and so nobody agreed with me. In fact, like, my best friend told me, like, I think you should quit posting that stuff on your Facebook about how horrible cops are, because, like, what if, like, the government didn't exist? We wouldn't have jobs. And it's just like, don't you see, like, the bigger point? Yeah. So I moved to Texas because I assumed that's got to be the freest place in the country. And as soon as COVID happened, I was like, okay, that's not true at all. It was bad. I lived in a city, to be fair. Literally lived inside San Antonio at that point. Like, not even in
Idaho was
suburbs.
pretty against the COVID place. Montana didn't really mess around with that a whole lot. I feel like the best place to be during the COVID lockdowns was just small town America.
Well,
because they just gave up. Anywhere, any of these flyover states, even on the West Coast, the smaller cities, they just quit caring like 3 months in, and everything kind of went back to normal.
Partially true, and every small town is like much better in small town Texas than San Antonio, for example, or Houston or Dallas. But still, there were things like, you work for a corporation, even if you live in a small town, well, you got to get the vaccine, stuff like that. So I think it's really important to have community around you that is purposeful. And
I was going to say something like, if you part of what you're saying is true, which is don't focus on stuff that's like that's not immediate to you. But I think another thing too is to move it from a spot in your brain where you're like, oh, look at this thing that's happening in the world, whatever it happens to be, and move it from that into okay, what can I do? What is actionable on this? Like, oh, if police are doing this, okay, maybe I need to get a body cam. Oh, well, if this is happening, maybe I need to protect myself in this way or that way, or move to a place, like Bonnie's saying up here in New Hampshire, with the Free State Project. But I think a lot of people. There's the one thing is you can just rage on that stuff, but the other thing is you can just become numb to it and just accept it, and that might be one of the reasons why they do it too. And I think you need to. Yeah, you need to move to the point of like, what is the lesson here? It's like, imagine watching the same child's movie over and over and over again, and it's like, okay, you saw that the hero guy did this or whatever, you have to go do that, or do something similar.
Yeah, actionable. I completely agree with that. I think it's important to have a balance, to not let it completely control your everyday life, but also not to become numb to it. Because I think it's very easy to fall into the trap of, I'm seeing all of this, I'm filling up all of my days being enraged by this thing that's happening, therefore the whole world is this. And
I love that sentiment.
obviously that's not true.
Well, we are out of time for tonight. Thank you for the call, Dylan, and freetalklive.com for more Free Talk Live. And also go to the Twitter that he's doing an amazing job on. It's at Free Talk Live on X. Thanks for listening. Peace.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Rising fees have made Bitcoin useless for purchases, but Dash continues to have fees less than 1 cent per transaction, and its features ensure Dash is undefeated as the most useful cryptocurrency in the marketplace. From a technical standpoint, Dash transactions are irreversible, and its network is protected from 51% attacks by their Chainlocks technology. There's no need to wait for a confirmation before considering a Dash transaction complete, so it's great for merchants. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at dash.org. Big thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
Eleutheromania, the insatiable desire for freedom. We have been enslaved for all our lives. It's the new 3-song heavy metal EP from Captain Kickass. Available now on your favorite music app or get it directly from CaptainKickass.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at